Good evening, baseball fans. We are coming to you live from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Kyle Haney hanging out on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network. It's Division III championship time. It's College World Series After Dark edition here. As we know, our East Coast fans are closing in on the midnight hour. After midnight, we're going to let it all hang out. The first pitch will be before midnight, and interestingly enough, that actually came up because the rule is, the town rule here in Cedar Rapids is you cannot start a game at PG Cares Field at Veterans Memorial Stadium here in Cedar Rapids. You cannot start a game after midnight. You can start a game at 11:59, but with that being said, we're an hour earlier over here. So we're in the 10 o'clock hour. The game is officially scheduled to start at 10:35. That was the official word from all of our tournament directors. It is the 2023 NCAA Division III Baseball National Championship. We have played 3 games already, but the reason for the delay is a rainstorm that came through in Game 3 between East Texas Baptist University and Salisbury. It ended up being officially a 1 hour and 43-minute rain delay. They got the tarp on the field. Field very playable. They didn't have to do much work after the tarp came off. There was a little bit of lightning hanging around in the area, but all told, it was actually a pretty short ball game other than the obvious rain delay in there. This is Game 4. This is the nightcap, and we'd like to think it's the feature matchup as Lynchburg Hornets fans, right? It'll be the Hornets taking on Wisconsin-La Crosse. Can't wait to tell you more about the Eagles, the opponent for the Hornets tonight. But the games that have already taken place in this tournament. In bracket 1 to open up the play, it was Johns Hopkins beating Misericordia 10-5. That was a game where Johns Hopkins actually made 8 errors, and they still ended up winning. That says something about the kind of ball club that they have, that they can overcome 8 errors in a national championship setting as well and still get a victory. Game 2 was Baldwin-Wallace beating Endicott 13-9. And then the game that I was just talking about here in bracket 2 was East Texas Baptist University winning 7-3 over the Salisbury Seagulls. So the winner of this game, the way the bracket works, will play East Texas Baptist. The loser has to go into that loser's bracket and play Salisbury. It is double elimination, although that term can be kind of funny sometimes because there is actually a way you could lose 2 games in this tournament and still win the national championship. But we'll worry about that if we get to that point here. We can clear all that up for you. And if you do want more of the details, we definitely encourage you to check out the tournament website. All the links are on the Lynchburg website, which we know that you can navigate. If you're listening to this stream right now, you've obviously figured out how that works. I really hope you're plugged into all the Lynchburg social media stuff because they are doing incredible things as far as keeping the fans involved here. Even during that rain delay, we had everything going on the Lynchburg social media destinations there, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and it was some really cool sneak peek behind-the-scenes kind of stuff of the guys staying loose and having fun. Such a great team with the personalities, and that's up and down from the head coach Lucas Jones all the way down to the support staff, all of our athletic trainers, and that LHSN team that is doing just absolute top-tier stuff on the social media. So check those things out if you want to get more involved. We will be checking out baseball here in just a moment. It is the Eagles from Wisconsin-La Crosse, the opponent today, coached by Chris Schwarz in his 19th season. This is actually Wisconsin-La Crosse's 3rd trip to the Division III National Championship. Went back in 2015 and 2016. And, yes, it is, of course, Lynchburg's first trip to the D3 championship. First time they've gotten this far. And, obviously, it's been a successful season up to this point. But I don't think it's one of those, hey, we're happy to be here situations. When you're hanging out with the guys in the hotel and before the game, you get the impression that they want more. You get the impression that the job is not finished yet for these Lynchburg Hornets. Now, the other teams, the opponents will have a say in that as well. But it's a Lynchburg team that has just put together a phenomenal season up to this point. 43-7. They were 19-3 in the regular season ODAC play. They were the Old Dominion Athletic Conference regular season champs. They were the tournament champs. And don't forget that they lost that opening weekend to Bridgewater in Game 1. They turned around and won 2 straight games against the Bridgewater Eagles by a scoreline of 11-1. It seems like that loss to Bridgewater maybe spark something in Lynchburg. They've been playing great baseball all season, don't get me wrong. But sometimes when you have that banana peel kind of a game that maybe you slip up and you don't think you should lose, full credit to Bridgewater. But sometimes when you have that game, it can do something to reset and refocus a team, and I think that happened with Lynchburg. They end up winning the Old Dominion Athletic Conference tournament there, the championship weekend in Richmond, which featured a 3-0 win over Randolph-Macon, then 2 big wins over Shenandoah. Lynchburg turns around the next weekend. They go to the Rocky Mount, North Carolina Regional. They win a close game, a 10-inning ball game on day 1, 2-1 against Lebanon Valley. They turn around and beat the host team, the North Carolina Wesleyan Battling Bishops, the next day. And then they survive, again, hard to call it a banana peel or a slip-up game against Lebanon Valley because a great ball club, and Lebanon Valley deserves all the credit for that win they did take over Lynchburg. But then Lynchburg wins the championship game to advance to super regional play. 2 wins over Shenandoah, both in close fashion, 9-6 on day 1 and then 3-1 on day 2. And that's how these Hornets are here. I know that was a long recap of the postseason, and it does feel like a bit of a long postseason. In fact, it's 12 games all told for Lynchburg. They are 10-2, in postseason play. Wisconsin-La Crosse is 8-2 in postseason play. Their overall record this campaign is now 36-11. So they have had a few losses in postseason play. Obviously, you heard that record, but they've done enough to get to this point. They are a very, very good team, and they are, it looks like, 5-2 in their last 7. So one of those losses was in super regional play, and that was in a wild game too. Speaking of wild stuff, I don't know if you saw this game for Wisconsin-La Crosse against Wisconsin-Stevens Point in super regional play, but they lost a game 24-20, and that was a wild back-and-forth affair. Their entire super regional situation for Wisconsin-La Crosse was high-scoring. They won game 1 against Stevens Point, 10-7. They lose that second one 24-20, and then they turn around and win the third game and clinch it with a 16-10 victory. Wisconsin-La Crosse comes to us from the Wisconsin Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, and all of those schools in there, they have the Wisconsin and then location. So it's La Crosse in this case, and I think as the broadcast goes on, we will just shorten it to La Crosse, and that seems to be what they prefer. They don't give you the full Wisconsin-La Crosse every time because, after all their conference opponents have the Wisconsin State moniker in front of it as well. Crowd coming alive here as Lynchburg takes the field. It's game 4 of the day. Lynchburg is the home team. They have a good crowd here that has made the trip, the 922-mile trip from Central Virginia. Of course, we always have to remember that not all of our players are from Central Virginia, so perhaps a slightly longer or shorter trip for some of the families and fans. Wisconsin-La Crosse, well, that's a shorter trip, 154 miles, which equates to about 3 hours on the bus for La Crosse, and they've got a good crowd here as well, which you might expect. Zach Potts getting the warm-up tosses in here for Lynchburg. He will start on the mound. Mr. Potts, undefeated on the season. He has been outstanding. He has been the ace all season long. Zach Potts enters with an 11-0 record, 2.41 earned run average. There's 1 complete game. There is 1 save in there. He notably got that in the regional play in that game against Lebanon Valley, where he came on in relief of Jack Batchmore. Baylor Cumbie pitched in there as well. We can't forget that. Zach Potts pitches to contact. He has excellent control with 90 strikeouts and 26 walks on the season. He is the career leader in quite a few pitching categories at Lynchburg, which we will run down as the game goes on. Around the infield, the battery mate for Zach Potts is, as usual, Holden Fiedler. At first base, it'll be Eric Hyatt. Sophomore, Ben Jones, a freshman. Also on the right side at second base, Ben Jones' high school teammate Brandon Garcia plays shortstop. Gavin Collins is at third. In the outfield, left to right, it's the All-American Avery Neves. Carson Atkins patrolling center. And then in right field, Jackson Harding. The batting order for Wisconsin-La Crosse, which is unique in the ages here, the grade levels, if you will. We'll touch on that in just a second. It'll be the right fielder, Jordan Williams, leading off. He's a .313 hitter. Jack Ulver, the third baseman, will hit second. Mac Bourne is the second baseman, batting third. Anthony Vivian, the left fielder, hits cleanup. The DH, Ty Hamilton. bats fifth. George Seaman, the first baseman, sixth. Tim Erlob, the catcher, hits seventh and wears number 7. Chris Vanden Heuvel is the center fielder and batting eighth. And Jack Moran, the shortstop, hitting ninth. Isaiah Kotz is the starting pitcher for Wisconsin-La Crosse, and we'll talk about him in just a moment. But in this starting lineup for La Crosse, the first 4 hitters are sophomores. There are 6 sophomores total in their batting order, and the pitcher, Kotz, is a sophomore as well. So it's a real youth movement for La Crosse and their coach, Chris Schwartz. A lot of reasons to be hopeful about the future for them, but the future is now. They are in the national championship, and we are underway. It's Zach Potts with strike 1 to get across, and now the count is even at 1 ball and 1 strike. We did have the rain after that. It's been a fabulous evening. It's kind of cool out there. Scoreboard temperature says 71 here at PG Cares Field, Veterans Memorial Stadium in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. So much to love about this city. And hopefully, obviously, if you're a Hornet fan listening to this, you hope it's a long stay here and we can get into more about this wonderful town and the ballpark. Here's Gavin Collins on the run. Scoop, throws across. Out number 1 in the books for Lynchburg in their World Series journey as Jordan Williams, a sophomore, grounds out to Gavin Collins, a junior for Lynchburg. Juniors are in this Lynchburg lineup, but really it's a great mix of young and old for Lynchburg. We've been discussing that all season. You've got 2 guys in Carson Atkins, the center fielder, and Holden Fiedler, who are now 1 and 2 in all-time games played at the University of Lynchburg. You got Zach Potts, who's the all-time wins leader at Lynchburg. But then you've got the youth side of the coin as well. Shortstop Brandon Garcia, a freshman. Ben Jones, a freshman. Eric Hyatt's a sophomore. Sean Pokerock, who's the designated hitter in the lineup today for Lynchburg, freshman. So there's a nice mix all the way around for these Lynchburg Hornets. Coach Lucas Jones in his 6th season. And it's just become one of the all-time best in school history. And it's been a fun ride so far. We'll see how long these Hornets can continue. That ball sprayed foul by Jack Olver, the third baseman. He hits .372 this year. He was a .429 hitter last year. So for a sophomore, he's already putting together a very, very good career. 2-1 is the count. Zach Potts pitching out of the windup. Lynchburg is in their white top with white pants, black hat with the red bill. La Crosse, as this fastball goes high to Jack Olver. La Crosse wears a burgundy red with white pants and a stripe down the side. They've got black helmets, and some of the coaches and support staff have a black top on, the overlay over that maroon. Here's a pitch from Potts, foul back into the netting, and now the count is full. 1 away in the top of the first inning. Not super regional action. Excuse me, I was reading my notes, thinking about what these teams did in super regional action. This is Division III championship time. College World Series here in the city of 5 seasons. The 5th season is fun, and I didn't make that up. That's legit, the tagline. Fastball upstairs, misses. So Zach Potts has issued a base on balls. It'll be a runner on first one of the ball game, and number 19, Mac Bourne, the second baseman, hits. He is a sophomore from Chaska, Minnesota. 2 Minnesota guys in the lineup for La Crosse. Most of the rest of the team is from Wisconsin. And actually, the shortstop, Jack Moran, is from Chicago, Illinois, where Lynchburg flew into. Part of their journey along the way here. Potts in the set position. There's a 2-seam fastball that catches the inside part of the plate for strike 1. Lynchburg defense medium deep in the outfield. We have seen some home runs today. Ball's flying a little bit, and I think something to keep an eye on. Seems like all these new parks we go to, we keep an eye on that. Potts deals, line drive up the middle. There's the first hit of the ball game. Mac Bourne, the second baseman, has singled into center. And it's just 90 feet on the advance for Jack Olver. So runners at first and second for Lynchburg. We are in the top of the first inning. Here comes the left fielder, Anthony Vivian. And speaking of homers, he is the main power guy for La Crosse. 19 dingers this season for Anthony Vivian. So there's a guy you got to be careful with. La Crosse has hit 72 as a team. That is second on this side of the bracket East Texas Baptist has hit 80 home runs. So there are some power numbers there. That ball had some zip on it out of the right hand of Zach Potts. He's got that sizzle. Anthony Vivian is a right-handed hitter. It's an 0-1 count. Runners on first and second. Double play in order for Lynchburg, and they turn a lot of them. That's been a storyline all season long. Lynchburg 46 on the season, and that is the tops in the nation. Has been for a while. There's another good, hard two-seamer from Zach Potts. Nice presentation from Holden Fiedler, the catcher, right at the knee, and it's an 0-2 count. Assistant coach Oscar Garcia barking out some defensive instructions from the dugout there. Wants maybe a change in the alignment. There's a check swing by Vivian that goes foul, but he does stay alive. 0-2 count. Looked like Potts went with the slider outside. Maybe didn't quite get it where he wanted. I think Lynchburg prefers that 0-2 pitch to be out of the range of the hitter's bat. But give Anthony Vivian some credit for a good spoil there and keeping the at-bat alive here. 0-2. See what Potts comes back with. Hyatt playing behind the runner at first base. There's another fastball that is sprayed out of play. Velo looks good from Zach Potts, just from the eye test up here. A little bit different angle in the press box, the spacious press box at Veterans Memorial Stadium. There is a lot of room to get comfortable and roam around up here as a broadcaster or anyone that has access. Potts is set and ready. Another 0-2 delivery. That ball was off the plate. I think it was the slider again. And now it's a 1-2 count for Zach Potts, pitching to sophomore left fielder Anthony Vivian. 360 on the season, but the 19 home runs really catches your attention. And I know he was a guy that Lynchburg's coaching staff was thinking about the plan for. How do you get him out? Sprays another one, fouls this one off his body. It actually rolls into the grass, but a foul ball. So it'll be a 1-2 count again. It's a long at-bat here for Anthony Vivian, particularly when you think about the count has only gone to 1-2. Wisconsin-La Crosse coming into the game, 174 extra base hits as a team, and this is an interesting note. There's a 101 doubles and 72 homers, but only one triple. Just one triple for La Crosse. Here comes another 1-2 delivery from Zach Potts to Vivian. Potts fires, fastball upstairs, misses for ball 2. Count is even at 2-2. Jack Ulver walked. He stands at second base right now. Mac Bourne singled and is at first. Ty Hamilton, the designated hitter, waits on deck. 2-2 delivery coming up for Potts. Got it down and in, and it's a swing and a miss for Anthony Vivian. Big punch out there for Zach Potts. It's the second out of the inning. And it does bring up the designated hitter, Ty Hamilton, the lone senior in the starting lineup for La Crosse. The Eagles have been scoring a lot of runs lately. Talked about that huge explosion in super regional play. They averaged 15.3 runs per game in those 3 super regional games. Swung on and belted in the left by Hamilton, but Avery Neves sprinting in to take it out of the sky. Big play there. It was basically hit right at Neves, but it was sinking, and he ran on to make a very good grab. Ty Hamilton is retired to end the top of the first inning. 1 hit for La Crosse. They leave 2 stranded, and the Lynchburg Hornets are coming to bat in the bottom of the first here at the Division III Baseball Championships in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. You got a behind-the-scenes glimpse there of this spacious press box. Me and Tim LaDuca just hanging out, who says it's late, but who needs coffee when you've got Zach Potts pitching? The Electric Factory had a pretty successful first inning there. He did surrender the one walk and the base hit to Mac Bourne, but a line drive right at Avery Neves in left field is no problem. And here comes Lynchburg in their half of the first inning. The batting order goes like this for the Hornets. Brandon Garcia leads off. Ben Jones will hit second. The All-American Avery Neves third. Sean Pokerock, who had an exciting super regional weekend, will hit cleanup and DH. Eric Hyatt hits fifth. Gavin Collins batting sixth. Jackson Harding seventh. Holden Fiedler eighth. Carson Atkins ninth. And that has been pretty much the batting order for Coach Lucas Jones here late in the season. Some exceptions to that. We've seen Riley O'Donovan DH, and I'm sure he will be a key option off the bench. We have seen Logan Webster come in and do some things off the bench for Lynchburg. Ryan Long has been a key defensive replacement, and there are even more options than that. But we'll hold that thought for a moment and watch Isaiah Kotz pitch to Brandon Garcia. Kotz is a right-handed sophomore, 7-0 in 12 starts this season. He's another guy with the high strikeout and low walk numbers. 69 punch-outs to only 17 walks this season. 3 complete games on the year for Isaiah Kotz, and that might be what impresses me most. When you just give him the eye test here pitching, he is a hard-throwing right-hander. He operates exclusively from the stretch. No windup needed. Oh, there's a strikeout looking. 0-2 count. Kotz got it where he wanted it. Good hold there and frame by the catcher. That is Tim Erlob, his battery mate. And Brandon Garcia is gone on 3 pitches looking. And La Crosse did something kind of unique. They didn't throw it around the infield after the strikeout, which we were discussing teams throwing it around earlier. When you're watching 3 baseball games before the feature game, you sometimes have to find different things to talk about. Ben Jones swinging first pitch, ground ball right side. Second baseman Mac Bourne is there, and he throws across for the second out of the inning. So that was first pitch hack from Ben Jones, and now it's just 4 pitches deep for Isaiah Kotz. We didn't even really get a chance to talk about the scouting report on this talented right-handed sophomore. Lynchburg is obviously expecting pitches in the zone. We mentioned that low walk number. And you got to think 12 starts here for Isaiah Kotz. He's only walked 17. Let's crunch the numbers on that. It's .71 walks per game. No, it's more than that. I inverted the math there. Math is never a good idea, especially when it's this late. You're in a different time zone. The math is 1.4 walks per game. 1.4 walks per game, yes. Because he has 17 walks in 12 starts, so he's obviously averaging more than 1 per game. But it's still pretty good. 0-2 count on Avery Neves. There's a fastball upstairs. Setup pitch is ball 1. 1-2 count. 7 pitches so far in the inning for Isaiah Kotz. You can see why he's thrown 3 complete games with this efficiency. Neves lays off a breaking ball in the dirt. Count is 2-2. And for Lynchburg, this has been a theme and something we've been talking about in the postseason, not just with the Hornets, but a lot of teams are very aggressive, ultra-aggressive almost, swinging first and second pitch almost up and down through the lineup. And part of the reason is you're getting more and more of these quote-unquote aces on the mound. You're getting your studs on the mound. You know they're going to be around the plate. You know they want to come after you. They're going to throw strikes. So the hitting plan is to swing early in the count. Be ready for that. Another 2-2 pitch. That is right down the middle. Neves unable to pull the trigger. I think that velocity from Kotz really sneaks up on you. It's 2 punch-outs looking in what ended up, I believe, being a 9-pitch inning. So check that box for Isaiah Kotz, and Wisconsin-La Crosse will go to the top of the second inning. Still donuts here, 0-0 on the beautiful scoreboard at PG Cares Field, Veterans Memorial Stadium in Cedar Rapids. Left-handed hitting first baseman George Seaman leads off for the La Crosse Eagles, Wisconsin-La Crosse. Zach Potts pitching out of the windup. Did allow a couple base runners, and there's another first pitch hack from George Seaman. It continues to be a theme that we should pay attention to here amongst these ball clubs. There is a lot to be said for swinging early in the count. But some of the old school baseball fans and coaches and players favor that patient approach, especially the first time through the lineup trying to get a look at a pitcher. It's a 1-1 count. Zach Potts missed with a backdoor slider. He'll kick and deal. That one inside must have just missed. Lynchburg fans agreeing with me that it just missed, and we'll leave the phrasing at that. 2-1 count for Zach Potts on George Seaman. Sophomore hits .306 on the season. There's another one that was off the corner outside. Zach Potts will kick at the mound a little bit. Just the bill of the hat. He was so much fun to watch in the pregame. Zach Potts was getting everything loose early on and seemed to be in high spirits like he always is. Ground ball right side. Potts will have to get over and cover. Hyatt waited to read the hop, but then does flip to Zach Potts, and they do get him at first base. So a nice job by Potts to get over there and cover. Hyatt, I think, was a little bit confused by the spin off the bat there from George Seaman. It didn't take that high of a hop, but you could tell Eric Hyatt just wanted to be sure, kind of stayed in there a little bit longer, and then had to feed it over to Zach Potts as he sprinted to cover first base. One out. The hitter is catcher Tim Erlob. He's another Minnesota guy, Burnsville, Minnesota. Another player that hits .304 on the season. As a unit, this Wisconsin-La Crosse offense hits .337 as a team. Slugging numbers are pretty good. With 72 homers and 101 doubles, the slugging percentage is going to be awfully high. There's a fastball for a strike, and it's a 1-2 count for Zach Potts on Tim Erlob. Defense straight away. Infielders are starting with their heels on the grass. Outfield's actually in a little bit shallow. Ground ball right side. Ben Jones is there. Classic fielding position. Sidearms it over to first base. And it's the second out of the inning. We are in the top of the second. Score is 0-0 between Lynchburg and the La Crosse Eagles. 36-11 so far this year for Wisconsin-La Crosse. 8-2 in postseason play. Lynchburg, for reference, has won 9 of their last 10. There's another first pitch hack. This is Chris Vandenheuvel, sophomore center fielder with a .341 average on the season. Gavin Collins is playing in at third base. Vandenheuvel is a left-handed swinger. Another theme or a common element for both of these ball clubs, and really the other 6 teams that we've seen today, they can send a lot of lefties at you. 0-2 count. Zach Potts pitching to that lefty, Vandenheuvel. Fastball misses high, and the count is now 1-2. There are 2 outs in the top of the second inning. Kyle Haney hanging out with you on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network. Some folks have got the visuals going with the audio. That's really great. There's one of those electric factory fastballs from Zach Potts, but it came in just above the zone. Deuce is wild here. 2-2-2 across the board. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. We are in the top of the second inning. No runs, though. Here's the pitch from Potts. Swing and a miss, and it's his second strikeout of the ball game, and the top of the second inning is over. It is 4, 5, 6 due up for Lynchburg in their half of the second inning here. Game 1 for Lynchburg. Game 4 in the tournament, the NCAA Division III National Championships from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. bottom two. It's Sean Pokerock leading off for Lynchburg, the designated hitter, a freshman. This is game number 51 for Lynchburg. Sean Pokerock swings at the first pitch and fouls it straight down. Sean Pokerock, this will be start number 14 and game number 18 that he has played in out of 51. So it's roughly 35% of the games that Sean Pokerock has played in this season, but he has been a key contributor. And, of course, most recently, I'm thinking about the bases-clearing pinch hit double in the win against Shenandoah in super regional play. Sean Pokerock just absolutely pounded a ball into the left center gap with the bases loaded. He's going to get Lynchburg's first hit of the game, swinging on this one and slashing a line drive through the left side. Left fielder bobbled it briefly, but not enough for Pokerock to advance. He bangs the helmet, gets a raucous applause from the dugout, and that is Lynchburg's first base runner. Eric Hyatt, the sophomore, is another guy that has not started every game this season, but has really come on strong. In fact, he's Lynchburg's leading hitter so far in postseason play, 18 for 45, which equates to 400. He has scored 11 runs. He's hit safely in 14 of his last 16, and Eric Hyatt has been plunked. He got bopped, it looked like, on the left shoulder there on a fastball from Isaiah Kotz that just ran up and in. So 2 base runners here for Lynchburg. The volume of their dugout and their fan base is increasing, and maybe the pressure on Kotz increasing a little bit. Gavin Collins, the third baseman, is hitting 6th. Nobody out with runners on first and second. Might be thinking sacrifice bunt time here for Lynchburg. Collins is that guy that can change a game in one swing, and he has done that quite a bit this postseason. Let's see what happens. It is a sac bunt called for. Fastball misses low and away. That fastball's got some steam from Kotz. Again, just giving it the eye test. We don't have the radar gun numbers up on the board here like you do at some stadiums. That is a hard fastball. My eyes are not as good as they used to be as far as telling the velocity goes, but I'm seeing low 90s on that from up here. Collins will swing on this. He'll drive it to right field. That ball is down for a base hit. Right fielder misplayed it slightly. 1 run is in for Lynchburg. They have opened up the scoring in this Division III National Championship tournament on their side with a Gavin Collins single to right field as scores Sean Pokerock. Now it's runners at the corners for Lynchburg. Lynchburg has done this all season long with these innings where they just seem to build pressure on the opponent. Yeah, they'll have an inning where they just score a run here or there, and they only have one across right now, fans. Don't mistake me. It's just a 1-0 ball game. But it just has that classic feel for Lynchburg, that red wave kind of a feel where it's just going to build and it won't crest until maybe the game is out of reach. We're only in the bottom of the second inning. I probably need to remind myself to dial it back a little bit. It's a long ball game. It's potentially a long tournament. But this feels like the action is right now for Lynchburg. Runners at the corners. Kotz missed the zone with a fastball. It is ball 1. The hitter is Jackson Harding, right fielder for Lynchburg. Gavin Collins is on first. He had the RBI single. Eric Hyatt advanced to third on that single. 3 straight base runners have reached for the Hornets. It's a good hard fastball inside from Kotz. 1-1 count. Got some options here as far as the bunting game goes. Some teams will run that safety squeeze play where a really good bunt will score the runner from third. Collins got picked at first. Oh, man, a snap throw from Kotz as he was getting the signs. He spun and fired. Collins was in the midst of getting a walking lead off of the first base bag, and it was a hard throw over there from Kotz. I said it looked like 90 off his hand from the mound on the pitches. Well, he flung that one over to first base on the pickoff pretty hard as well. So Gavin Collins is gone. Picked off. That is the first out of the inning. That can steal your momentum if you're Lynchburg. Harding swinging at that, fouls it away. The count will now be 1-2. 1 out. It's a big momentum play for La Crosse right there. Wasn't a called pick or anything. I think Kotz just, as he was looking in on the sign, maybe he saw Collins out of the corner of his eye, or maybe that's just something that he does. Picks while he's getting the signs. Harding will flare another one left side. It's foul. And the count is still 1-2. Eric Hyatt leads off at third base. One base runner erased via the pickoff. Kotz set at the belt. Now deals. Harding will get this one in foul territory left. It's been 3 straight balls that have gone foul to that left side. So that's a trend there that the La Crosse Eagles pitch callers will certainly be taking note of. Seems like you probably want to stay with that good hard fastball if you think you got Harding a little bit behind on the timing. Maybe even something elevated, harder to catch up to, harder to get on top of. Let's see it. Here comes the pitch from Kotz. Harding will foul another one away. 4 straight foul balls for Jackson Harding. Great at bat right here. He's not giving in easily. And, of course, Lynchburg, so good at that. So good at working these long counts. I know I've said they swing early, and they have been swinging early, but they're also so good at working these long counts, staying alive, taking the walks, getting hit by pitch. 1-2 delivery coming up from Kotz. It's a 5th straight foul ball for Jackson Harding. He's pumping out a lot of souvenirs to the fans here in Cedar Rapids. And a lot of them are going over the Lynchburg dugout. Lynchburg on the third base side. That is the home team side. Lynchburg is the 3rd seed overall in this tournament. We'll get back to that in a minute. 1-2 count. Harding will foul one straight back in our direction that hits the netting. So now it's 6 straight foul balls for Jackson Harding. Putting in the work here in that left-handed batter's box, rather. Jackson Harding is a lefty swinger, right-handed thrower. Isaiah Kotz, the pitcher, wears number 40 and throws right-handed. Another 1-2 pitch coming up. Harding sprays this one past the third baseman and into the outfield. What an at-bat for Jackson Harding. 6 straight foul balls. It looked like Kotz just kept trying to pump the fastball by him. Harding got too many looks at it. He finally shoots one through the left side for an RBI single. Lynchburg leads 2-1. So statistically, and by the scorebook, it's 4 straight batters that Lynchburg has gotten on successfully. Gavin Collins was picked off, but 4 straight hitters have reached for Lynchburg. The catcher, Holden Fiedler, bats with 1 out and a runner on first. Kotz catches the zone at the top for strike 1. 0-1 count. Carson Atkins, the 9-hole man and center fielder, on deck for Lynchburg. Another pickoff attempt. Harding is back successfully, and that's one that you are ultra aware now as a runner. When you've seen one of your teammates get picked, it's kind of the old Fiedler will take another fastball for a strike there. 0-2 count now on Holden Fiedler. It's unfortunate that one player has to get picked off, and I think Collins was alert. Just a great timing pick there by Kotz to get Collins as he was into that walking lead. He was almost in the middle of a step, and he couldn't put that right foot back down in the dirt and get back in time. Collins did dive back. It's not like he waved the white flag and just stood there and let the first baseman tag him. 0-2 count for Fiedler. He just fouled one away. Ground ball up the middle. That hit Kotz. Third baseman might have a play. No, it's gone too far away. Jackson Harding thought about rounding second and advancing to third, but the shortstop and the pitcher, Kotz, did get over there to cover. So make it 5 straight Lynchburg hitters that have reached. Wow. This is that red wave for Lynchburg. It's coming right now. Kotz looked like he took that one in the midsection, maybe around the abdomen or on the belt line, and it did carry him off towards the direction of the third baseman. He's going to get a once-over from the coaching staff. Don't see an athletic trainer, just the coach, so Kotz must not need too much urgent medical attention, but it is a mound visit now. The 9-hole hitter will be Carson Atkins. We know how he can blow a game open, and he has done that a few times in the postseason. A big home run at the University of Richmond in that ODAC championship weekend for Lynchburg. It's a postseason that has had a life all of its own. I mean, after all, when we came on, baseball fans, the little mini recap of the postseason I tried to give you took about 5 minutes. It has been, just a reference back to it, 12 games in the postseason all told for Lynchburg. They're 10-2 in postseason play. Kotz is going to get a warm-up toss after the batted ball that hit his body. He may have even got a slight piece of his glove on it. Jackson Harding will lead off at second when we get back to baseball here, and Holden Fiedler, the most recent single for Lynchburg. 4 singles in the inning. And, it's interesting because thinking back now to that top of the first inning, Isaiah Kotz chewed through Lynchburg pretty efficiently. Brandon Garcia struck out looking on 3 straight pitches. Ben Jones grounded out on the first pitch that he saw. And then Avery Neves took a hard fastball looking for a strikeout. So Kotz struck out 2 out of 3. And you're probably thinking, well, I've gotten through the 3 best hitters. And that's how a lot of teams structure their lineup. He had to be feeling pretty good. That all changed. Sean Pokerock single. Eric Hyatt got hit. Gavin Collins singled and scored 1. He was picked off. Jackson Harding worked a great at-bat and singled after fouling off 6 pitches. And then Holden Fiedler just hit a ball off the pitcher. I think Lynchburg's got that momentum back. La Crosse stole some after the pickoff, but it's back to Lynchburg. Fastball misses away. It was at the belt line, but just off the plate to Carson Atkins. 1-0 count. First baseman playing behind Holden Fiedler. Third baseman is even with the bag. It's the bottom of the second inning. Lynchburg already leads 2-0. 2-0 lead in Game 4 of the national championship, but obviously the tournament opener for these 2 ball clubs. There's look like a better location on the fastball, but it's a ball as well. 2-0, hitters count for Carson Atkins with 1 out. Outfield is medium depth. It is a beautiful evening to play. It's 11:10 Central Time here in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. We are across the midnight hour over on the East Coast. So after midnight, we really are going to let it all hang out. 2-1 count. Atkins took another fastball. Got to say, I haven't seen a ton of off-speed pitches from Isaiah Kotz. Maybe he'll go to something here with a 2-1 count. Checks the runner. Couple looks at Jackson Harding. Now he'll kick and fire. That was actually a breaking ball that missed the plate wide. And the count is 3-1. Now there's activity in the Wisconsin-La Crosse bullpen. See how much urgency they have here as we watch them get loose. But it's a 3-1 delivery coming up from Isaiah Kotz to Carson Atkins. Here's the pitch. Oh, it was a healthy hack there from Carson Atkins. He wasn't getting cheated on that one. Does swing and miss, and now the count is full with 1 out. Possible time to start the runners here for Lynchburg, maybe. They lead 2-0 in the bottom of the second. Here comes a 3-2 pitch to Carson Atkins. Swing and miss again. Got him there on the strikes. Third punch out of the ball game for Isaiah Kotz, and it will bring up the top of the order Brandon Garcia, one of those strikeout victims, 0 for 1 in the game so far. Brandon Garcia hitting over 300 in postseason play. He's also scored 11 runs. A little bit of a dry spell in those 3 games against Lebanon Valley. Very productive, though, for Brandon Garcia. There was a sac fly in there. I think he took a bases-loaded walk. Garcia has been outstanding all season long. 16 multi-hit games in the freshman campaign for Brandon Garcia, the shortstop from Durham, North Carolina. Takes ball 1. Runners at first and second, bottom 2, 2-0 lead for Lynchburg. Couple checks again at second for Kotz. That looked like a slider on the back foot that Garcia dodged out of the way of, and now it's a 2-0 count. That strikeout from Atkins stopped a spell of 5 consecutive runners that reached for Lynchburg. And there is 2 outs because of the Gavin Collins pickoff. 2-0 pitch coming up from Kotz. He kicks and deals. Garcia wanted it, popped it up. Could be trouble, though. It's in shallow center field. Center fielder will come on and make the call and reel it in. That was Chris Vandenheuvel, that made the grab to end the inning, but it's a successful one for Lynchburg. They lead 2-0 after 2 complete in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. A 2-run inning for Lynchburg in the bottom of the second. It was a 4-hit inning. There was a hit by pitch in there as well. Lynchburg scratches 2 across. They leave 2 stranded. And they're on top. +2 on the scoreboard. That was one that we heard today. +2 on the scoreboard. I'm getting a funny look from Tim LaDuca, who is working very hard. We are going to get him on the microphone at some point here. And by some point, I mean sometime this week. It sounds like it could be this game, but again, he's got other things that he is working on. It is a well-oiled machine at this point in the season for the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network. And we were having a great time during the rain delay doing some baseball trivia with the coaching staff that was hanging out in the hospitality area. We dug into some good ones there. Fastball misses from Zach Potts. It's actually 3 straight balls for Zach Potts, the man whose control is normally impeccable. He pitches with a 2-run lead. He's facing the 9-hole hitter, Jack Moran, the shortstop. And there's ball 4. Another one that's close, and that's worth noting that the zone here in this game has been maybe a little bit tighter than normal. That's one, it's been a talking point and a theme for us all season. You got to adjust to the umpires quick. The teams that seem to be able to do that seem to be the more successful ball clubs. You know, everybody thinks, we didn't get the right calls. We got a bad call. Everybody thinks that. Every fan, every coach, every player. Those teams that can move on quicker from that and say, hey, the zone is what it is. The zone is smaller today. Let's move on and adjust. Or the zone is bigger, whatever the case is. Talked about how your catcher, Holden Fiedler in this case for Lynchburg, he can help you out. He can say, hey, guys, it looks like he's calling XYZ. Looks like he's calling that ball that is 6 inches off the plate. You know, those kinds of things. So important. I think Lynchburg is really good with that shared information from an offense and a defense perspective. Oh, Zach Potts picked a base runner. Yeah, nice move there from Zach Potts. Actually fairly similar to the manner that Isaiah Kotz picked off Gavin Collins in the bottom of the second inning. Zach Potts was just sort of getting into the sign sequence there, kind of leaning in to take a long look at Holden Fiedler's fingers. He fired one over to first base and picked off Jack Moran. So that's the first out of the inning. Both teams have recorded an out with the pickoff in this game. Leadoff hitter Jordan Williams stands in. Right fielder is 0 for 1, grounded out to third base. He shoots another one left side, but this one gets through. That was a 6-hopper that Gavin Collins had no chance on, and that's a base hit. Second hit of the ball game for the La Crosse Eagles. Jack Ulver is 0 for 0 with a walk. He's a left-handed hitter. One of quite a few that La Crosse has in the lineup, and one of quite a few sophomores in that starting lineup. 6 in the batting order, and then a 7th if you add the starting pitcher, Isaiah Kotz. So here's Potts out of the stretch again, gets a swing and miss on an outside fastball to Jack Ulver, and the count is 0-1 with 1 out. Baseball after dark, D3 National Championship after dark here. You expect this sometimes. Swung on here by Ulver. He's going to drive Harding back, and Jackson Harding made the grab in deep right center field. Good base running from Jordan Williams. He made his way almost to second base, but as he saw that Jackson Harding was lining it up, he managed to scamper back and not get doubled off. What a great play by Jackson Harding. On the horse, running diagonally at a 45-degree angle back to that right center gap. They are deep gaps here at PG Cares Field at Veterans Memorial Stadium. So there is a lot of room in those gaps. Jackson Harding made it look small right there, just motoring to take a hit away. And that surely would have been extra bases as well. This Lynchburg defense is so sound, but particularly the outfield. There's another ball ripped through the left side. That was Mac Bourne hacking at one. His second hit of the ball game. He's 2 for 2. It's 2 hits in the inning for Wisconsin-La Crosse. There are 2 outs, but it's now runners at first and second for Lynchburg. Anthony Vivian, he's the left fielder. He's the guy with 19 home runs. hitting with 2 outs. There's an excellent spot from Zach Potts, but it just missed, low and away. That's one that would be tough to homer on. If you keep it right there at the knee or just under the knee, just off the plate, beautiful pitch from Zach Potts. You'd like to get the call. Maybe it's got to be, again, 6 inches closer to the plate. That one missed in the dirt. And now it's a 2-0 count on a dangerous hitter, Anthony Vivian. 360 on the season for Vivian. He's driven in 54. He's got 7 doubles to go along with the 19 home runs. And here comes a short mound conference with the catcher Holden Fiedler and the pitcher Zach Potts. It's a 2-0 Lynchburg lead. Winner of this game will meet East Texas Baptist University. They get a 7-3 victory over Salisbury. So the loser of this game takes on Salisbury in what will be Game 7 of the tournament tomorrow, scheduled for 4:30 p.m. Game 8 would be the winner of this game, and ETBU. That game scheduled for 7:45. Of course, everything's subject to change, as we found out already tonight. When you combine the weather with previous games in the day that sometimes can run long, you can basically throw the schedule out the window. And that's why you got to stay plugged into the social media and get all the updates, get the email updates. And the website is a nice resource as well. Potts missed with a fastball there. So it's a 3-0 count on a dangerous hitter with runners at first and second. So technically you have a base, I guess. Potts came after him, though. Good hard fastball, thigh high. And that's strike 1. 3-1 count. DH is Ty Hamilton on deck. And as a general rule, if you get to this point, not a lot of soft spots in the lineup, and that applies to Wisconsin-La Crosse. Kind of a half-hearted check swing from Vivian. Tough play. Garcia comes on, throws on the run, and gets him. Big out right there. La Crosse gets 2 hits, but they leave 2 stranded, and Lynchburg still leads 2-0 after 2.5 at the Division III baseball championships here in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Two, 3, 4 due up for Lynchburg in their half of the third inning. It's Ben Jones, Avery Neves, and Sean Pokerock. Lynchburg does lead 2-0. The pitcher is still Isaiah Kotz for these Wisconsin-La Crosse Eagles. It's a fastball for a strike. There was some activity in that La Crosse bullpen when Lynchburg was having their big inning in the bottom of the second. That featured 4 hits, hit by pitch. But you could argue that La Crosse avoided major damage with the pickoff there. Gavin Collins got nabbed at first base. And Carson Atkins struck out. Then Brandon Garcia flew out to end the inning. Ben Jones will lash one over the shortstop's head into center field. That's a base knock for Benny Bombs. No big explosion, but the leadoff man is aboard for Lynchburg. And here comes Avery Neves, 0 for 1 with a strikeout in his first at bat. That was part of a 3-up, 3-down first inning for La Crosse, but things have really changed. That's the 5th hit of the ball game for Lynchburg. All singles so far. We know Lynchburg is very, very proficient at just kind of singling you to death. The joke by Coach Lucas Jones was death by 1,000 cuts, and, Coach Jones made a snazzy grab over there in the coach's box as Avery and Eves fouled one down to that side. Coach Lucas Jones, a former Lynchburg infielder. We always talk about his hitting prowess, but he could glove it a little bit too. The hands are still really good for Coach Lucas Jones. 0-1 count on Avery Neves. Ben Jones leads off at first. He'll get back on a dive from a pickoff attempt by Isaiah Kotz. Sophomore is undefeated on the season. 69 strikeouts to only 17 walks. So I can do that math pretty easily. It's now 71. I said I could do it easily, and I got it wrong. It's 72 punch-outs now because he's got 3 in the game. And no walks yet, anyway. Has hit one batter. It was Eric Hyatt that got plunked. Neves will foul one off, this time to the right side and high, and it skips well out of play. I mentioned there is a good crowd. Obviously, it's a late night here in Cedar Rapids. We're in Central Time, so it's 11:25, but for Friday night, still kind of late. And if you're a diehard baseball fan, you've probably been out here all day, so maybe you can't stick around for this final game, what we're calling the feature game. Check swing there from Neves, but he did hold up. No appeal down to first base by the catcher, Tim Erlob, and it's just ball one. But Lynchburg fans are out in pretty good force, and La Crosse has a good crowd here as well. Neves, he took this one, fastball upstairs. Talked about it, felt like a little bit of a smaller zone, so that's tough sometimes when you're a hitter and everybody else has been saying, hey, he's not giving much off the plate or he's not giving much up or down. And then you feel like you get a close one that doesn't go your way. Second strikeout looking for Avery Neves. And that tells you something right there. That is very difficult to do. Strikeout Avery Neves looking. He's a guy who leads the country in walks again, something he did last season. And he is the all-time conference leader in walks. But here it's a strikeout. Sean Pokerock swings at the first pitch and fouls it away. It'll be no balls, 1 strike to Sean Pokerock, who's 1 for 1. His outstanding postseason continues. 12 postseason games for Lynchburg. We'll crunch Sean Pokerock's numbers here in a bit. So wait and see what happens with this at bat. Ground ball right side. Could be 2. First baseman gloves it, throws to first. Pump fake at second, but they still have enough time to get Sean Pokerock. Twin killing there for Wisconsin-La Crosse. That might put some wind in the Eagles' sails. Lynchburg still leading 2-0 after 3 complete here in Cedar Rapids at the 2023 Division III Baseball Championships.
The NCAA is instrumental in Team USA's success at the Summer Games. Over 70.
Night baseball. We were trying to think about when's the last time Lynchburg has played a night game. It's not many. Sounded like talking to some of the La Crosse people that they hadn't played many, if any, night games this season. But we are well into the Midwestern night. It's a great feel out here. It was warm to begin the day. I think it did get up to 90, and there was some humidity. There's always humidity, it seems like, in Virginia in the summers, but Midwestern weather is known for that humidity as well. Strong, robust winters. But then the summer is no laughable thing out here in the Midwest. as well. And I'm an old school Midwestern guy, but we'll save some of those stories in that biography for later on in the week. Because, again, if you're a Lynchburg fan, I hope it's a long week here in Cedar Rapids. 2-0 count for Zach Potts. He's pitching to the DH, Ty Hamilton, who leads off this top of the fourth inning. There's a good fastball from Zach Potts to get a strike on the board. 2-1 count with nobody out in the top of the fourth. 2-0 the Lynchburg lead. Wind up in the pitch from Potts. Strike two. No changes for either side so far. Starting lineups all completely intact. Saw some guys getting loose for La Crosse, but Isaiah Kotz has stabilized a bit. Got a nice little 6-3 double play to end the bottom of the third inning. Lynchburg does have 5 hits total. They've only left 2 on. Full count pitch coming up for Zach Potts to Hamilton. Ground ball off the inside part of the bat. Here comes the third baseman, Gavin Collins. Another just classic Gavin Collins. Smooth throw on the run. And I continue to say that he is one of those guys that throws better on the run than the classic stand still or step and throw or shuffle and throw. That is a rare thing in sports. That is a rare thing in baseball, that you will find somebody that is actually more accurate on the run. But I can confidently put Gavin Collins, Lynchburg's third baseman, in that category. Not that he throws bad from those classic textbook positions. He's good from there as well. But he is outstanding throwing on the move. He's got all the arm angles, too. It's an 0-1 count for Zach Potts on George Seaman. Seaman's going to send one into the left center gap, medium deep here for Carson Atkins. He'll make his casual grab for out number 2 of the inning. Back to Collins briefly. He's got all those arm angles. He can give you the classic, again, over the top that all infielders should have, and then I think we probably all start with as we're throwing. But he can give you the 3/4. He can give you the sidearm. He can go underneath and give you a submarine across the diamond, and it's usually going to be a bullseye. Might lose some velocity from the lower arm slot, but he really puts it on target nicely. Target almost all the time. I don't really believe in jinxes, but we'll leave it at there for Gavin Collins and what he's doing defensively for Lynchburg. 0-2 count. Zach Potts is doing it here for Lynchburg on the mound. There are 2 outs in the top of the fourth inning. Here's the pitch to Tim Erlob, the catcher for La Crosse. He takes ball 1. It was off the plate. And the count is 1-2. Due up for Lynchburg, Eric Hyatt. And Gavin Collins, the man who we were just raving about, will be hitting second. Here's Potts. Out of the windup, sidestep, fires it in there. Ground ball, 3-hopper to Ben Jones. No problem, fires across for the third out of the inning. That's a 3-up, 3-down inning for Zach Potts and the Lynchburg defense. Let's see if the Hornets can add a little cushion to the 2-run lead here. We have played 3.5 at PG Cares Field, Veterans Memorial Stadium in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Here comes Tim. Getting ready for the bottom of the fourth inning in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Kyle Haney hanging out with the special guest, Tim LaDuca. Let's see if I can get your intro all right here. Tim LaDuca is the Director of Digital Media. He's the Acting Sports Information Director. He is the ultimate Frisbee enthusiast. He is my spirit animal and spiritual and technical advisor. And Tim, it has been a whirlwind of a trip. We can talk about this trip and how much fun it's been so far. or we can talk baseball. Dealer's choice. What do you want to go with?
Left one thing out of the intro. Good friend.
Oh,
great
good
friend.
Great friend.
Great friend.
Yeah, you misspelled great friend. Yeah.
And I'm just having a blast. You said it's been a long trip. It has, but we are 3.5 innings to the first game for Lynchburg, which they hope ends up being 5 to even up to 8.
Yeah, up to 8 games. That's wild, too. We can touch on that. I guess we did touch on it just now. Eric Hyde is the leadoff hitter for Lynchburg. Yeah, it's so interesting what all goes into the coordinating of an event like this for everybody from a Cedar Rapids, Iowa standpoint, an NCAA standpoint. But then you get into each team and all the things you have to do with the travel plans and the hotel arrangements and the food and et cetera, et cetera. It's a lot.
It's given us a unique perspective because usually we roll up, we plug a couple chords in. It's a little bit of an understatement. And then we just cover these teams. But we've been able to really be almost in the fight with these guys these couple days. And there's a lot going on. We've seen how the sausage is made back here and the whole production. NCAA is working their tails off to put on this special weekend, this special week. And it's been really fun to be a part of such a special event for these 8 teams.
Yeah, and I don't know if we want to get into the big-time roll call here as Eric Hyatt takes strike 3 looking. That is the 4th punch-out for Isaiah Kotz. But my great friend and yours, Caroline Inskeep, was wondering, did we find a donut place for National Donut Day? It was National Donut Day.
Wow. The amount of donuts that we've eaten.
And me of all people. So I think you got your answer there, Inskeep,
No.
if you can read between the lines on that. Can we make up for it tomorrow? Probably so. Gavin Collins has got a 1-0 count. Ball sent back to the screen. Gavin Collins had the RBI single that got the run scoring started for Lynchburg. They lead 2-0. But yeah, just back to seeing how the sausage is made, and you get to I don't want to say hang out with the guys in the hotel, but you're bumping into them a little bit more, going to and fro, and some of those team meetings. So that's so much fun. And back to the social media things that you guys and gals have been doing. Such great insight behind the scenes there, getting to learn more about the personalities. A great story, great interview with Carson Atkins, all-time games played leader. I did read that.
So I had a lot of fun writing that story, and riding up and down the elevator with the guys. That just is an example of what we get to do, staying in the same hotel. We're a couple rooms down from some of the players. I mean, it makes it a lot easier to cover a special group of guys like this when they know you by your first name. They're excited to see you. It makes me feel good as I cover these guys, and I treat them almost like celebrities in a way. And when they look at me and their eyes light up and say, "Hey, Tim," it makes you feel good. And it makes staying up until 12:30 Eastern, 11:30 Central, all worth it.
Oh, very much so. As Gavin Collins has fouled a couple off down the left field line. It's a full count to Gavin Collins. There's one out in the bottom of the 4th inning. Let's get back to baseball here in a moment. Let's wait and see what this full count pitch does to Gavin Collins. Ball 4. Nice eyeball there from Gavin Collins. That is the first walk of the game issued by Isaiah Kotz. We talked about his outstanding control. He has hit 1, and Lynchburg has 5 hits. Jackson Harding, the right fielder, stands in now with 1 out. So far, the 6 teams that we've seen up to this point, I think they've all kind of impressed us in their own way with something that they have done today. And you do see pretty quick why all these teams are here. Jackson Harding will foul another one off. First one this at bat, of course, he fouled off 6 in that previous at bat. But isn't that interesting when you come out to this scene? You see all these different ball clubs. Everybody kind of has their own unique thing, like La Crosse, for example, not throwing it around on the strikeouts. That's a little bit different. But they all seem to have a reason why you feel like they're legit and they're here.
And I think this has been the most sharp game, the sharpest game we've seen today.
Ooh, long run by the left fielder, Anthony Vivian. He got to it in foul territory right near Lynchburg's bullpen, and it hit his leather and bounced out. It's not an error. It's a foul ball in this case. But, man, that's one that he probably would love to have back. We talked about bullpens in play here at PG Cares Field, and they've actually come into play already. A Salisbury Seagull defender was running over to try to make a pop-up grab, and that is not easy to do when you hit that incline on the mound over there.
And it's really close to the foul line. It's not like it's tucked away far out of play. It's right there.
Swing and miss for Jackson Harding. He's out on strikes. 5th punch out of the game for Isaiah Kotz. Yeah, it is. I mean, if you're just looking down this first base line, the dirt for the mound, which is a different color than the warning track dirt / brick dust, I mean, it's like 6 feet off the foul line. Like, really, you could lay down there and stretch from the foul line to the dirt of the mound. Hard fastball from Kotz, misses to Holden Fiedler. Now, I noticed down the left field line here, you do have more room between that mound and the foul line. And it is a unique field in the fact that the dimensions around the outfield are not exactly symmetrical. It's not one of those perfect circle cookie cutter kind of an outfield wall. So that's pretty neat. Carson Atkins, he mentioned the unique left field wall there.
Yeah, he's fascinated by that rotating advertisement that's showing a couple different things, and the panels switch. That kind of blew his mind. That's old technology. If he looks over his other shoulder, there's a massive video board.
Right.
That's maybe a little bit more eye-catching, but it's kind of par for the course.
Great mix of old and new. Holden Fiedler will send one into the Iowa night sky that the center fielder Vandenheuvel comes on to make the catch of. So Lynchburg does get one runner on. That was Gavin Collins on the walk, but he is stranded, and we are through 4 complete. It's a 2-0 Lynchburg lead. It's a 2-0 Lynchburg lead through 4 complete. Lynchburg scored both of their runs in the second inning. Wisconsin-La Crosse has 3 base hits total. They've left 4 stranded, including 2 runners left in scoring position. Lynchburg has now left 3 on after Gavin Collins walked, but got no further. Collins has been aboard twice. He did get picked off, Tim, but Gavin Collins always flashing the leather over there. We've seen some great plays from him, and then obviously he's doing it from the offensive perspective as well. 0-1 count on the leadoff hitter, the center fielder, Chris Vandenheuvel, who's 0 for 1 with a strikeout. Now it's 1-1.
Radio broadcast, you get to be a little bit more flavorful with your words. Would eclectic be the right word to describe Gavin Collins' game? You're going to get picked off at first a couple times.
Right.
You're going to catch a couple pop-ups at your belt, but you're also going to, break the tension in a game like this where the kids have been sitting in the stadium for 6 hours waiting for the game to start.
Yeah.
You're in a 0-0 ball game, and here comes Gavin Collins. He's gonna waltz up to the plate and drive in the first run of the game.
Oh, swing and miss there on Vandenheuvel. I think Zach Potts might have gone to the changeup. He doesn't pull the string on that changeup a ton, but it looked like he took pace off of that ball. Yeah, I know you and I both have a love for sports on the radio, but baseball in general is just a fascinating thing. It's an art all to itself, baseball on the radio, and it's an art that has been practiced at the highest level over the years as well.
And that's the first way that people got to know the game. People would stand in large crowds out in in city squares just to listen to the radio in the early 1900s because people wanted to hear the game, and it's nice that they all shared that experience. And it's interesting to think that they never got to see their favorite players.
Right.
They only heard it. And I wonder what those images in their head looked like of Babe Ruth and the players that they just heard of.
Sure. Yeah, maybe occasionally you get a picture in the sports section, maybe, of a guy doing something, but even that's not a given. And of course, this is all pre-internet. But yeah, just a fascinating time. 2-1 count for Zach Potts. Here's a ball weakly hit to the right side. Eric Hyatt fields. High toss over to Potts, and he's safe at first there. Good job scrambling down the line by Jack Moran, the shortstop. He got jammed on that ball. Eric Hyatt's toss to Zach Potts, who was covering, was a little bit high, Tim, and Potts caught it. But I think the height of that toss caused Zach Potts to kind of lose some of the rhythm, and then he couldn't find the base with the right foot on the cover.
Rhythm's the right word. That's a play that has 4 or 5 moving parts that everything needs to be precise and timed up perfectly. Once Potts had to take any concentration off of finding that bag and dedicate a little bit more to finding the ball. Tie goes to the runner there, and Moran gets there. Do you think that Moran beat the throw, or did Potts initially miss first base?
I don't know, and they've ruled it a base hit, which I guess is worth pointing out. Maybe in the official scorer's opinion, he beat it anyway. Mm-hmm. And to Moran's credit, I mean, he was hot out of the box and getting it down the first base line for sure. Well, that's one, on that pitcher covering play that you work on in your PFP, your pitcher's fielding practice. Coaches will say, hey, get it to him early, get the ball to him early so he can then find the bag with his feet. But it doesn't always happen because Eric Hyatt really had to range to get over and get that ball. I mean, in hindsight, I'm trying to think of what Lynchburg could have done differently.
Just a little sharper throw,
I think
less
so.
loop on the toss from Hyatt.
Yeah, Hyatt was in that tough zone too because he was getting to be about 30 feet away from the bag, and that underhand toss a little tougher. Might go with the sidearm or the overhand. But hey, you know what they say about hindsight, right? It's 20/20 or 50/50 or some breakdown like that.
20/20.
Is that what it is? Is that the saying?
Speaking of numbers, the dimensions of the bag, are
Yes.
these the typical bags that Lynchburg and the rest of the NCAA has been playing on, or are these the bigger bases?
Great
Since
question.
we're at a minor league stadium, because who knows, maybe bigger bases help Potts make that play.
Right. And we used the bigger bases last weekend. Lynchburg's super regional sweep of Shenandoah. Got game 1 9-6, and then game 3 3-1, featuring the electric home run from Avery Neves, the 2-run homer that will live in infamy. Runner goes. Fiedler with a good grab. We got a play here at second. Holden Fiedler gunned him out. How about that? It was actually not a great pitch to throw on, Tim. It was kind of low and away, but Fiedler got a great release and a bazooka shot down there to second. Ben Jones was covering the bag, and it's a caught stealing. Should be 2 outs. Yes, the board has just changed, and now it's a 2-strike pitch coming up. So Lynchburg has picked off a runner and now thrown out a runner stealing. Keep that in your file. 2-2 pitch coming up from Potts. Swing and a miss. Got him with a heater that just kind of drifted lower and lower in the zone, and Jordan Williams could only come up with air. There's an exciting inning for Lynchburg. See if they can use some of that momentum heading into the bottom of the 5th. Hornets lead the Eagles 2-0 in game 1 in the NCAA National Championship Tournament. Just a 2-0 Lynchburg lead, but we have already seen so much excitement. Zach Potts getting 2 big strikeouts in that inning, Tim, and then Jack Moran, a base hit, but caught stealing at second runner that Lynchburg has retired on the base paths. Potts picked one off. And here we go. We're heading to the bottom of the 5th inning with Carson Atkins, the 9-hole hitter, leading off for Lynchburg. He takes ball 1, 2-0. Hornets on top. So traveling to an event like this, a little bit easier for Wisconsin-La Crosse. It's only a 3-hour drive for them. Lynchburg, a bit more complicated than that.
Yeah, we had a 3-hour drive, too.
Right.
From Chicago to Iowa
Right.
after getting off a plane. We slept over. This is the whole team. We slept over in Richmond on Tuesday night because we had to wake up at 4 a.m. Wednesday morning to get to the airport in Richmond and fly up to Chicago. And then we get to Chicago, there's a bus waiting for the team, and there's 2 rental cars that some of the support staff drives 3 hours due west to get here. And it wasn't easy. You know, we were in transit for about as much time as it would have taken to drive. It's just a lot easier and a little bit more fun, and the boys have a good time. You know, it's real big time when you're getting on the plane and they announce Lynchburg baseball's here.
Sure.
So that was fun.
And some of those guys had never flown before, which is cool. And I was trying to think back. It's so long ago. I was trying to think, had I flown before at that age? You know, when's the first time you flew?
Flew early. Flew early, going
Nice.
to Disney.
Okay, but not so early you don't remember it. Like
No, I
you
don't
remember
it.
the
I was a
experience.
little
You
guy.
don't.
I was
Oh.
a little tot.
Yeah, but now we're getting into a different thing. 2-2 count on Carson Atkins. We'll get back to it. Let's see what happens with this 2-strike pitch here. Isaiah Cott's still out there, by the way. Atkins will knuckle one over to the first base side, and Gabe Garcia will make an easy grab. He is the first base coach for Lynchburg, and we'll try the 2-2 delivery again. Nobody out in the bottom of the 5th. Go ahead.
Gabe Garcia may have made the play of the Super Regional last week. Because when Benton Jones hit that ball down the third base line, he thought it got through, and he took a turn going to second base, and Gabe says, Ben, get back. Carson Atkins strikes out.
Yeah, that was right before the Avery Neves home run. That was a classic at bat where he was fouling pitches away, tough pitches from Shenandoah lefty Parker Farrington.
But if Jones gets thrown out at second base, then Neves' home run, A, the at-bat changes because there's not a runner on, but B, it's only a game-tying home run. It doesn't give Lynchburg the lead like it did. So a big play there from Gabe Garcia, my new roommate.
I love Gabe Garcia. I could spend the entire broadcast talking about him, but it might be a little disrespectful to the players like Brandon Garcia, who is no relation, by the way, which we do point out occasionally. Gabe Garcia is the brother of another Lynchburg assistant coach, Oscar Garcia, who big Hornet fans have heard us mention or already know about OG. And then the other interesting one is head coach Lucas Jones, no relation to Ben Jones. 0-2 count here on Brandon Garcia. He'll stay alive and hit one in Coach Lucas Jones's direction. Foul. There's one out in the bottom of the 5th. Lynchburg leads 2-0. But, no, that's a great point. I mean, I think sometimes a first base coach kind of an afterthought in baseball because, you know, you're figuring, well, the players can see everything. But that's not always the case as Garcia will foul another one away. Good chase given there by the third baseman, Jack Olver, but he just came up a few feet short. And it will be another 0-2 delivery coming up to Brandon Garcia.
And how about the professional at bat here from Garcia? He's fighting off pitches. He's wasting these pitches. He's identifying stuff outside on the outside part of the plate that he doesn't want to hit so that he can find one to drive just like this.
That is so impressive from Brandon Garcia. Sends that one into the right center gap. It's a single, a long single for Brandon Garcia. He is on with his first hit of the ball game. That is Lynchburg's 6th knock as a team. They lead 2-0.
And during that at-bat, Garcia wasted one. You know, he had to kind of extend the arms on the outer part of the plate, and he wasted it. He follows it off, and he looks back at the umpire and asks, is that as far as you're going to go? Is that a strike? So he knows I can't just let that one go by. I could get punched out on it. I'll just waste it, and I'll look back and see if this is where the zone is. And it gave him a little bit more time, and now he's leading off first base.
Ben Jones is the hitter. That's a fastball that missed the zone high. It's a 1-0 count with one out. Yeah, that's something that Lynchburg is so good at. I talk about the shared information from player to player, but a lot of those guys like Brandon Garcia They will look back and ask the umpire, hey, was that ball out? Is that as far as it goes? And most of our umpires in the modern game are pretty good at having that conversation. And I think it's so great. Again, used to be a bit more adversarial, it felt like, with the umpires, where they didn't want to have those convos. Ben Jones lifts one high. This could be tough to see, but the left fielder is camped under it, and Anthony Vivian will make the grab. Brandon Garcia has to retreat back to first base. And there's 2 outs with Avery Neves stepping into the box. He is 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts.
But that's why I love that Garcia did it in that situation. Instead of passively aggressively seeing a ball go by that he thought was a ball, but he called it a strike. He does it on a waste pitch, and he does it in a little bit more productive of a situation.
Jackson Harding had the at-bat that I'm thinking back to in the second inning, where he fouled off 6 in a row and then punched the clock with a big base hit. Jackson Harding clocking in. Oh, Avery Neves might be clocking in. Drives one to right center field. It's deep. It's to the warning track, but it is caught out there by the center fielder, Chris Vandenheuvel. What a grab out there in deep left center field. Avery Neves got a lot of it, but not quite enough, and that's how the 5th inning will end. Lynchburg still on top, holding on to the 2-0 advantage in the 2023 Division III Baseball Championship from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Starting to get late out here, Mr. Tim LaDuca. Kyle and Tim hanging out with you. D3 baseball after dark here, and it is national championship stuff from PG Cares Field at Veterans Memorial Stadium. There's so many similarities between this ballpark and Bank of the James Stadium in Lynchburg, because we've got a football field right beside at the same complex like we do in Lynchburg. There was almost some similarities with the neighborhood. There was a place across the street that is sort of like a place in Lynchburg. Here's a ball, left center gap. Neves diving. Did he make the grab? Avery Neves taking flight to take a hit away. Oh, my goodness, just soaring through the Midwestern air to rob Jack Ulver of a base hit. Wisconsin-La Crosse coaching staff is asking for a review, and yes, we do have. I've been saying all season our umpires do not have access to the video review, but that is not the case. We do have the review room here. We walked by the review room earlier. Isn't that cool?
Spicy.
It gets like the blood pressure a little bit when you see those guys and they're locked in during the game. You almost think they might shut the door so people like us wouldn't bother them. I don't know.
We're the only ones with the door closed.
Isn't that funny?
The other press boxes have it open. But think about the situation. Avery Neves hits one 402 to left center, the deepest part of the park. Yeah. Dead center is more shallow than it is where Neves hit that ball. It doesn't go out, and Neves does. If he's not able to change the game with his at-bat there, next half inning he might be changing the game, stealing what? If he doesn't make that play, double?
Yeah, at least 2. Yeah, perhaps 3. I mean, Carson Atkins is coming in that direction, so he's going to get to it. But, a great point. I mean, these elite players like Avery Neves, as the review has not taken very long, which makes me think, oh, they have called it safe. They have overturned it upon review. Wow. So call it a base hit in the books. Call it a single for Jack Ulver. My goodness. I think your point is still valid. Neves still saves a base there with that diving play. I want to see another look at it. I know some of our fans are watching the visuals and listening to us, which is very cool. And if one gets ahead of the other, you got to pause the one that's ahead and just give it a second or two to catch up. There's a heater inside from Zach Potts. That had some sizzle out of the right hand, but it is ball one. Now
we can get started to see how unique this game is. Do you start coaching your players? We're running through even if you're out? Because if he's standing, if Ulver is standing at second base,
right?
Do they give him second?
Right. I guess you would bring into play, if you keep going to second, does Avery Neves get up and throw the ball into second, and then you tag him out that way potentially? But it's a good thought that you have. I mean, it's a great thought, really, actually.
I mean, if you're the coach, you say, boys, we're running these plays out.
Right.
Because for the first time in 51 games, we have video review, which does get a little bit interesting, in my opinion, that the championship's being played differently than the rest of the season. However, the plays are, when they matter the most, are being called correctly.
Yeah, I think you're using the technology to make the game better, make the game more fair. But you got a point. I mean, you've been doing it one way all year. Change is tough. Look at us, after all. I mean, change is tough, but we're making it work.
I don't directly get the reference. It makes me a little nervous.
1-1 count. Zach Potts, another hard heater inside. Check swing, but Mac Bourne did not go. Mac Bourne is 2 for 2, by the way, Tim. And La Crosse has 5 hits as a team. There is a runner on first, so the threat is on. Right now, Zach Potts pitching into the 6th inning for Lynchburg. Bourne's going to rip this one down left field line. That is down for at least one. Avery Neves will field in the corner. Kind of took a weird carom. Neves will get it in. Runner holds at third base. It's runners at second and third for Wisconsin-La Crosse. They've got the tying run in scoring position. And the go-ahead run is in the batter's box right now in the form of Anthony Vivian. First extra base hit of the ball game for either club, Tim. And we're just scanning the Lynchburg bullpen. No activity there just yet. We are in the top of the 6th inning. Lynchburg leads 2-0. We're going to get a mound visit from associate head coach Travis Beasley, one of the guys who was really into the baseball trivia during the rain delay, but I can guarantee you that's the farthest thing from his mind right now as he goes to visit with the pitcher Zach Potts and the catcher Holden Fiedler.
Beasley's slow gait to the mound gives time for Batchmore to get into the bullpen. Bullpen almost a lackadaisical routine for Batchmore, who can get ready in a hurry.
Yeah, he's got that rubber arm. He's available to pitch pretty much all the time and on short notice. He doesn't need a lot to get cranked up. We're going to get...
This is interesting, though. When Coach Beasley got to the mound, he instantly called for the umpire to come to the mound. Usually the coach doesn't want him there.
Yep. It's a question about the cleats for Zach Potts, and he seems to be getting some dirt caked up in the cleats, and they want one of those sticks or one of those things they'll put together. There is that cleat scraper, the cleat cleaner on the back of the mound, but I think it's probably so worn down it's not doing the job that Zach Potts wants. So you see the umpire noting it in his lineup card. It's still going to be a visit for Coach Travis Beasley because he's still getting to have a conversation with Potts. But I think the footing was an issue, and then it's probably twofold there by Coach Bees because, you're buying Jack Batchmore a few extra warm-up tosses as well.
For the 27th inning on this field today, this field's in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
Is that right? 9 times 3, 18? No, that was right.
9 times 3 is 27.
27.
I'm not the math guy.
No,
I'm not the math guy.
I was wrong.
Yeah, so 27 up to this game, and now we're in the top of the 6th. So let's call it we're in inning number 33. We're through 32 complete.
You put a tarp on the field, too.
Mm-hmm.
High leverage situation right now, no outs, and as you said, the go-ahead runs in the batter's box.
Yeah, this is huge right here. Let's direct our full attention to Zach Potts on the mound. First pitch looked like a called strike. Vivian got the bat off his shoulder, but more of a check swing than anything. Ball popped out of Fiedler's mitt, but no advance from the runners. Jack Ulver is leading off at third for Wisconsin-La Crosse. And Mac Bourne, who just doubled. Mac Bourne is 3 for 3, Tim. My goodness. Lynchburg's got to find a way, try to get him out. Anthony Vivian is the hitter right now. 0-1. Corners are in for Lynchburg. Middle is back. Foul ball sprayed to the backstop by Anthony Vivian, the left fielder. And now it's an 0-2 count.
Good on Potts trying to get any advantage he can. Vivian looks a little bit uncomfortable at the plate, fooled by those first 2 pitches from Potts. Finds himself in a 0-2 hole now.
See if Potts goes with the slider away, maybe fastball upstairs. Fiedler does slide out, target acquired, but it is ball 1.
You got to have faith in your backstop there and your catcher to be throwing breaking balls, even in 0-2 counts with a runner 90 feet from home.
Big backstop here. A lot of room between home plate and that back wall, that classic minor league park feel at PG Cares Field. Here's a pitch from Potts, 1-2. That was very close, just underneath the zone, and now the count is even up at 2-2 with nobody out. Runners on second and third for Wisconsin-La Crosse. They've left 4 stranded in this game. 2 of those were in scoring position, 1 in the first, 1 in the third inning. And they've now got 6 base hits in this game. Here's the 2-2 from Zach Potts. Hit Anthony Vivian. Looked like it got him on the wrist or the forearm. He's going to shake that off and take a slow jog down to first base. First batter that Zach Potts has hit today. And now the bases are loaded of Eagles in the top of the 6th inning.
These high lever situations are where elite players are made. But at this point in the season, we already know Potts is a 3rd-team All-American, which is a high privilege from the ABCA. See if he can impress more upon the voters who bestowed that 3rd-team All-American honor on him and somehow Jimmy out of this jam.
Yeah, Potts has been so good with runners on base this season. Part of the reason why he is undefeated. He's great with nobody on board, but he seems to pitch better and really lock in when runners get on. There's 3 on right now for Wisconsin-La Crosse. It's a 1-0 count on Ty Hamilton, the designated hitter. 91 hits in his career. He is the lone senior in this starting lineup, and he's worked himself into a 2-0 count on Zach Potts. Potts looking to find the zone again. Zach Potts has walked 2 and hit 1. 6 base hits for La Crosse. That adds up to 9 base runners total, but the shutout is intact at the moment. 2-0. That ball is driven into center field. Carson Atkins is there. He'll make the catch. No, it popped out of his glove. That ball popped out of Carson Atkins' glove. 1 run is in. It's just 1 run across. That could have been much worse for Lynchburg. The runners were tagging, seemingly expecting Carson Atkins to catch it like everybody else in the stadium. It looks like it officially is going to go down still as a sacrifice fly rather than an E8. But the bases are still loaded. The lead has been cut in half. It's now 2-1 Lynchburg on top, and there's still nobody out.
You still get the error on Atkins there, but as if he was out, you don't want to punish the batter, without the sacrifice, and that's a play that Carson Atkins has made so many times in his 200 games.
Ground ball to Ben Jones. Could be 2. Flips to Brandon Garcia for the first. He throws across. It is a double play, but another run will score. That was George Seaman that grounded into the 4-6-3 double play. So Lynchburg continues to do that really well. Nation's best team at turning double plays. But the tying run has come across, and we are knotted at 2-2. Well, back to this game, seeing a little bit of everything. There's 2 outs with a runner on third now. Swing there by Tim Erlob came up empty, and it's an 0-1 count. It's a brand new ball game here in the top of the 6th inning. La Crosse has scored both of their runs in the 6th. Lynchburg got their 2 in the bottom of the 2nd. Fastball misses, and it's a 1-1 count with 2 outs on Tim Erlob, the catcher, hitting .304 on the season. I think everybody in the starting lineup is over 300 for Wisconsin-La Crosse. This team can really swing it. 2-1 count. Infield regular depth. Corners are back now with 2 outs. Outfield is playing shallow. Fastball for a strike from Zach Potts. 2-2 with 2 outs in the top of the 6th inning in a 2-2 ball game. So it's a lot of deuces in there. Got 5 of a kind up on the board here. Potts, big pitch, swing and a miss, ball in the dirt. Fiedler will have to scramble and throw to first. He will execute that play, and the inning is over. But the game is tied. Twos for both ball clubs through 5.5 complete at the Division III Baseball Championships in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Two runs for the Wisconsin-La Crosse Eagles in their half of the 6th inning. And just like that, we are knotted up at 2s apiece.
And a little bit more lighthearted side, they're installing new cleat spike cleaner on the back of the mound in the middle of the game. Gives us a little bit extra time to maybe clean up that inning a little bit from a Lynchburg perspective. No outs, and you make an error on a fly ball to center field, and you only walk out of there with 2 runs on the board. And a run would have scored on that play, even if Atkins made the play.
That's right. That's right. And
you can't get too beat up about it. You got to shake it off and take your hacks at the plate.
I agree. And Lynchburg, anybody that's been listening and watching has seen them. They seem to answer the other team's runs quite a bit. It's not at a 100% rate, obviously, but typically when that other ball club scores in the top half of an inning, Lynchburg finds a way to get some runs across in the bottom half of the inning. We'll see if that's the case here as Sean Pokerock swings and misses at the first offering from Isaiah Kotz, who's still out there. There's a fastball that missed out of the zone high. Yeah, just going back to La Crosse's inning, Tim. Single from Jack Over. Mac Bourne hit a double in that left field corner. There's a rip from Pokerock. Oh, and it got under the glove of the second baseman. Sean Pokerock just hit it that hard. That should be a base hit. I'm pretty confident that the official scorer is going to agree with that. That was the classic Sean Pokerock swing, just short and sweet right to the ball, and he just delivers so much force into it.
And kind of in the Sean Pokerock setting, you know. He's moved up to the 4 spot in this lineup, but leading off the inning with a base hit is exactly what Lynchburg needs, just like how he restarted the rally in the Super Regional after Neves' home run. He goes up there and keeps the line moving.
He seems to have a knack for it, doesn't he? He's 2 for 3 in the ball game tonight, by the way. There's a take from Eric Hyatt, and that's strike 1. Eric Hyatt is 0 for 1. He was hit by a pitch in his first plate appearance, struck out looking in the second one. He bats with nobody out and a runner on first base. There's another sharp pickoff move from Isaiah Kotz. He's really good at that. He kind of catches you when you least expect it, too. He picks in those non-traditional times. A 1 pitch coming up to Eric Hyatt. Right-handed sophomore is ready. He'll ground that one to the left side. Could be 2. A little slight hesitation by the shortstop, and then the ball gets away from the first baseman. Nice backup there by the catcher, Tim Erlob, who was hustling down the line and really caught that ball in stride. I mean, he was even with the throw. But it is 1 out recorded there on the fielder's choice. Just a little slight hesitation from the shortstop, Jack Moran, getting that ball from glove to hand to throw was all the difference in the world. Gavin Collins now hitting with 1 out. Runner on first base. That's Eric Hyatt, who gets chased back by a pickoff attempt.
And that may have sped Bourne up a little bit on the transfer at second base, knowing that he's got to make up for the bobble at short, and fires that one wide. But as you mentioned, big backup, saves Hyatt from probably jogging to second base after the ball would have gone out of play.
Gavin Collins is 1 for 1 with a walk. He's got an RBI in there as well. Jackson Harding, the man on deck, has the other RBI for Lynchburg. They did lead most of this game 2-0. They led innings 2, 3, 4, and 5 2-0 anyway, but now we're tied 2-2. Another toss to first from Kotz.
And Kotz is the pitcher of the year in his region, also the Wisconsin Intercollegiate Athletic Conference pitcher of the year as well.
Collins just blisters a ball past the diving shortstop. Gavin Collins is 2 for 2. That was the highest exit velocity of the two swings. And now Lynchburg has 8 hits total and maybe a rally on again here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Jackson Harding 1 for 2 with a strikeout.
Jackson Harding, not the biggest power guy. He hit a triple in the regional in Rocky Mount, but this is kind of what Lucas Jones is talking about when he says we can win in a lot of different ways. This right now is death by 1,000 cuts with all the singles. That's the eighth base hit. Looking for a little bit more power from this Lynchburg lineup to retake a lead.
One right-handed pitcher warming up in the bullpen for Wisconsin-La Crosse as Jackson Harding swings at the first pitch and fouls it away. Yeah, it seems like the extra base hit, if it came right here or in this inning, Tim, would really pay dividends for Lynchburg, but maybe it's more singles. You know, we've seen Lynchburg take a bunch of walks in games. That's another way they can beat you. Just one free pass so far in this one. There's a fastball that just misses to Jackson Harding. The count is now even at 1 ball and 1 strike.
Harding, the left-handed batter, but Wisconsin-La Crosse has Vanderheuvel shaded as if Harding's a righty on the opposite side of the second base bag. Big gap in right center for Harding.
Runners at first and second for Jackson Harding. Ground ball, left side, third baseman gloves. It goes the short way to second. Did the second baseman, Mac Bourne, hold on? They will give him the out there. He ended up getting scrambled eggs as he was on his backside showing the ball to the umpire, but they do give him an out on the 5-4 fielder's choice. That was Gavin Collins that couldn't quite beat the throw. And now it's 2 outs for Holden Fiedler with runners on first and third.
This is where baseball gets really poetic, but also a little bit cruel. If Fiedler can get on base here with 2 outs, it brings up Carson Atkins, who made the blunder in center field in the previous inning. And you got to hope that Atkins can, use it a little bit as fuel, but not let it change his at-bat where he presses too much in the batter's box.
Oh, yeah, such a fine line. I always use the phrase stay within yourself, and that probably means different things to different people, but I think you're right. You obviously want to make up for what we'll call a miscue defensively, but you can't try too hard. You got to just stick with your game plan. You know you're going to have the extra focus there. You should have that anyway in this setting here at the Baseball Championships in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Holden Fiedler, the batter now, though. He hits with a 1-0 count. Runners at the corners for Lynchburg. We've seen them do one of those first to third early break double steal plays. Could potentially be in order. Jackson Harding at first runs well. Fastball for a strike taken by Holden Fiedler. 1-1 count. 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th inning in a 2-2 ball game. It is game 4 of the tournament. And it's the first game, the opening game for these two ball clubs. There's another good hard fastball that misses the zone low from Isaiah Kotz. And one right-handed arm still getting loose for Wisconsin-La Crosse. We'll see how quickly their head coach, Chris Schwarz, goes to him. 19th season for Coach Schwarz. Here comes Kotz with the delivery to Fiedler. Foul ball in the direction of the Lynchburg dugout. And now the count is 2-2 with 2 outs. Might be more inclined to put that double steal play on if you're Coach Lucas Jones right here with 2 outs and 2 strikes on Holden Fiedler. And it may be even that play where Jackson Harding breaks early. You try to get the pitcher under some pressure. Some teams will just let you go to second. They're fine putting 2 in scoring position. And if you're the offensive team, I think you got to be fine with that as well. Let's see if it happens here. Kotz, hold at the belt. Harding running, Fiedler, tough swing, flares it to the left side, swinging bunt play. Oh, and the ball came out of Kotz's hands. 1 run is scored. Fiedler going to advance to third. Head first slide. He is in there safe. Lynchburg has taken the lead back, and they've got runners at the corners again on a ball that Fiedler just barely got a piece of. It was rolling down the third base line. The pitcher, Kotz, came off. He tried to kind of make a jump spin throw to first, and the ball squirted out of his hands. He had to go to foul territory to retrieve it near the on-deck circle for Lynchburg, and then he actually made a pretty sharp throw into third, but Jackson Harding just too quick. He got there in time. And here's that poetic moment, potentially, for Carson Atkins. First pitch to Atkins is off the plate. They do call it a single for Holden Fiedler. That's Lynchburg's 9th hit of the game. And that was the shortest by distance. That ball only went about 30 feet, Tim. Kotz delivers to Atkins. There's a fastball that also misses, barely. 2-0 count. Runners at first and third.
And good at bat so far from Atkins, staying within himself. As you said, lays off the first 2 pitches. He's not pressing. He told me this afternoon in the lobby he looks at the foul pole to center himself. And that's his focal point while he's in the box. He looks at the foul pole, takes a big deep breath, and I asked him why he picked the foul pole, and he said, why not?
I love it. No, I love it. I love the fact that he's got a process and he sticks to it. He's got something he can go to. Flared into the infield. This ball will bounce before it gets to Bourne's hands. Barehanded throw to first, and he's safe. The first baseman came off the bag. Another run is scored for Lynchburg. It's a 4-2 Lynchburg lead on 2 balls that didn't make it off the infield grass. Holden Fiedler's was about 30 feet. Jackson Harding's was Carson Atkins right there was more like 80 feet, but the second baseman, Mac Bourne, came on, made a barehanded throw that just pulled the first baseman off the bag. Carson Atkins is safe on what's probably going to be another base hit. Although as I scan the board, I think maybe they've given that one an error, Tim. But it's runners at first and second now for Lynchburg. They've got a 2-run lead again. They have scored that as an error on the second baseman, Mac Bourne. It's kind of a tough deal there, but anyway, we won't spend too much time on it.
Not a routine play. Caroline Inskeep, if you're listening at home, I trust your judgment there. But Carson Atkins, he may feel a little torn with that one, but the runs are back on the board for Lynchburg, and they're back in the position they were before last inning with the error. And that's why it's so important that Lynchburg was able to do some damage control. Things didn't get out of hand.
Right. Turn that double play in there defensively. That was big.
And it's almost like you've watched almost every single Lynchburg baseball game, but Lynchburg in the same half inning has responded with 2 more runs. And opposite of what I said, it's been with small ball, death by 1,000 cuts. And the ball's not leaving the infield, but Lynchburg is going around the bases.
There's a lot to be said for putting the ball in play, putting some pressure on the defense. And it's not like you're placing the ball there. It's not a bunt from Holden Fiedler. It's a swinging play, but it just ends up working like a perfectly placed bunt. Carson Atkins there, it looked like he got jammed, but it ends up going to the right spot. You pressure the defense. Now it's Brandon Garcia. 0-1 count with 2 outs. Runners on first and second. Lynchburg has taken the lead back. Garcia, that one got off the shortstop's glove. The wheels are kind of falling off here for the Eagles. That one is definitely an error. It was a decently hit ball from Brandon Garcia. It wasn't the hardest ball that he has ever hit, but the shortstop had that one kick off his leather and go into center field. Another run scores. Carson Atkins has to hold at third base. Now, Mac Bourne's we thought was a tough play. That's a play that the shortstop, Jack Moran, will tell you I make that 99.99% of the time. I think they actually called that one a single, Tim.
I was gonna say that one's a hit. You put hard contact on it.
He did hit it well.
A line drive is going to oftentimes you just have to defer to a hit there.
And I'm glad that you feel comfortable enough in disagreeing with me.
I wish you'd give me a second.
Oh, Ben Jones has exploded again. It's a ball in the right center gap. Here's the inning Lynchburg was looking for. 2 runners going to score. Ben Jones will hold at second. It's a 2-run double. So Lynchburg did use the small ball. There was an error in there, but how about a double in the right center gap for Benny Bombs. Just what the doctor ordered for Lynchburg. Here comes another mound visit. I think we're going to get a new arm out here. Wow, this game has just turned 180. Lynchburg had a 2-0 lead going into the 6th inning. They give up 2 runs in the top of the 6th, but now they bang them right back with a 5 spot, and it's not over yet with Avery Neves hitting with a runner in scoring position.
Yeah, we don't need to go anywhere, Apologies that I almost ruined the big call there for you. But Ben Jones ripped that one into the gap, and the line just keeps moving. There's your big hit we were looking for, and it's all with 2 outs, too. We say that Lynchburg, just something clicks, and they lock in the box when there's 2 outs. Their backs are against the wall, and they just make things happen.
You mentioned a word earlier in the day. It starts with a D. It ends with a Y. It's called destiny, and maybe I don't know. I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to leave it hanging out there. And by the way, anything you say would not ruin a big call. It would enhance a big call on LHSN. We'll try to figure out who the new pitcher is. I think you can hear we're having fun, fans. I mean, hey, it's a 7-2 Lynchburg lead again. But we do have some business to attend to. It looks like it is going to be 26 was the number there. And, of course, there's no numbers on that stat sheet. Let's figure it out here, Tim. While we figure that out, let me also tell the fans that for Ben Jones in the postseason now, that is extra base hit number 6. That's 4 doubles and 2 home runs in there for Benny Bombs. The guy I call Benny Bombs, he was another one. He was all smiles every time you passed him in the hotel. He seemed to be enjoying this trip very much, and I have a feeling his enjoyment level is only going to increase after that one.
Yeah, and I just think about the dichotomy between the 2 halves of this team. Not that there's any, divide, but you have graduate students who came up with this program through some losing seasons, and they've set the stage, they've laid the foundation for players in their first year like Ben Jones to just roll right in and make a huge difference at the top of the lineup.
Yeah. Tucker Bushi is the new pitcher. He's another sophomore, so continue the trend there for Wisconsin-La Crosse. You're right, with guys like Ben Jones and Brandon Garcia, yeah, they're great freshmen. I think they could fit in any lineup, but it's nice when you can insert them in a lineup with some veteran presence. They don't have to carry the whole load. Yes, they're hitting at the top of the order, and they've been doing that a lot this year, but they don't. I don't think they feel that same pressure on them that maybe a normal first-year starter might have.
Well, because think about the teams that would love to get a Ben Jones and a Brandon Garcia and then build around them.
Yes.
It's already built. We're making upgrades now.
That's exactly right. Yeah, the foundation is in place. We're just adding a little renovation here to spruce things up a little bit. Avery Neves is hitting with a 1-1 count on the new pitcher, Tucker Bushi. There's 2 outs. Ben Jones leads off at second base. He just hit a 2 RBI double. Neves lifts this one foul. Might stay in play. Long run for the catcher and the first baseman, and it will drop in front of the La Crosse dugout. So it's a 1-2 count now on Avery Neves. Let me just get back to the season stats real quick for you, Tim. On the year now for Ben Jones, that is double number 12. 8 home runs. He's got 2 triples in there for good measure. And that's all in not starting every game either. This is start number 38 in 51 games for Ben Jones. So basically 2/3 of the season, he has really put together an outstanding one. Neves, breaking ball that he takes for ball 2. That was close. Good eye ball there from one of the all-time best set of eyes. And I'll say not just at Lynchburg, but maybe all of college baseball. 2-2 pitch coming up for Tucker Bushi. He's 4-0 on the season in 16 appearances. Another good snapper off the right hand from Bushi, but that's a ball. Now the count is full. Tucker Bushi has no saves on the year, but he has no starts either, so he appears to be one of those mid-inning reliever guys. Well, maybe we should say late innings as well, but not quite a quote-unquote closer, we'll say. Full count delivery coming up to Neves. Another breaking ball, and that time he did catch Neves looking for the 3rd out of the inning. So Tim is going to get back to work. We'll talk to you again. Let's do this again tomorrow at some point.
I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Or later on tonight. We'll see.
Check social media. I'm about to put out some fire footy from Sam Rice and some pictures from Caroline Gerke of that 5-run rally from Lynchburg there.
What a big inning. 5 in the bottom of the 6th. We'll take a little breather and try to recap it for you in just a moment here on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network. Okay, baseball fans, here's how it happened in the bottom of the 6th inning for Lynchburg. And don't forget, they were leading 2-0 to start that 6th inning. Wisconsin-La Crosse gets 2 on the board to tie the ball game at deuces. And then Lynchburg went like this. Poker rock, single. Eric Hyatt with a 6-4 fielder's choice that he had to hustle down the line to beat the double play. A double play there would have changed the flavor of the inning dramatically. Then Gavin Collins singled. Jackson Harding had a fielder's choice to the third baseman. So there's 2 outs in the inning with 2 on at that point. Holden Fiedler hits a 30-foot swinging bunt that the pitcher couldn't get to in time and really misplayed trying to jump spin and throw to first. Carson Atkins gets on board with an E4, a ball that didn't get off the infield grass. Then it was a Brandon Garcia sharp single that hit the glove of the shortstop. Then Ben Jones broke it open with a double in the right center gap. It was a classic Lynchburg inning. They've been doing that all season. Yeah, they've had some games where they just kind of, we'll say nickel and dime you, run here, 2 runs there, 1 run there. They've had those games. But they've had so many of these games where they have a big run-scoring inning. 4, 5, 6, 7-run innings. Of course, who can forget against Shenandoah when they're down 8 runs, they score 11 straight. It didn't all come in one inning there. Strikeout from Zach Potts. He got the swing and miss to begin the inning. It's actually back-to-back strikeouts for Potts. That dates back to the 6th inning. And give Zach Potts credit, so steady, he does not get rattled on the mound. There was a Carson Atkins error on a not quite routine fly ball, but a ball that Carson Atkins makes the play on 99% of the time. Just had it pop out of the leather. Went down as a sacrifice fly and an error. And I think some lesser pitchers would have been rattled, but not Zach Potts. So steady. He manages to stabilize and minimize some of the damage, and only 2 come across in La Crosse's top of the 6th inning. I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but it did. So that is back to the class and the quality of Zach Potts. He has missed the zone there. It's a 2-1 count on the shortstop, Jack Moran. It's another guy that had a ball hit his glove and bounce out in that last inning. The ball Brandon Garcia hit sharply. That was ruled a single. I initially thought error, E6, but Tim LaDuca, he made some great points about how hard that ball was hit. And now it's a 2-2 count. You be your own scorekeeper if you want. If you're scoring at home, hats off to you. That's a real baseball fan. 1 out. We're in the top of the 7th now. Potts, oh man, what a pitch there. That was a 2-seamer that just continued to ride into the body of Jack Moran. By the time he swung the bat, he really had no hope. What a pitch from Zach Potts. 2 strikeouts in a row. No, 3 in a row, dating back to the 6th inning for Zach Potts. Somewhat of a danger area here. It's the leadoff man, Jordan Williams. This is the 4th time Zach Potts has gone through the lineup. And the numbers, the statistics say that each time a hitter sees you, his average should go up. Sometimes as much as 100 points, depending on what league you're looking at statistics-wise. Jordan Williams flares one to the left side. No problem for Gavin Collins as he backs up 2 or 3 steps and then hauls it in. It's a quick inning for Zach Potts and Lynchburg. 3 up, 3 down. 7-2 is the Lynchburg lead. Let's see if they can add on to it in the bottom of the 7th inning. Middle seventh, stretch time here. Everybody's been stretching all day, and we do actually have the organist here. We've got a guest organ player in the press box. Did not meet him or her, but heard the announcement. So it's cool. It's got that classic baseball environment. It is a great stadium here. Veterans Memorial Stadium in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. We are in the eastern part of the state, and we can do some more geography if necessary. Sean Pokerock leads off. Oh, man, Sean Pokerock just blisters one by the pitcher. Good stuff. It is a new arm out there, it looks like, for Wisconsin-La Crosse. Let me get it for you here, fans. But Sean Pokerock, how about 3 hits now for the freshman? Sean Pokerock, another guy like Brandon Garcia and Ben Jones. He's a freshman, fans. He is fitting right in. The new pitcher looks to be number 14, Tyler Schmidt. He is a freshman for Wisconsin-La Crosse, so he breaks that trend of sophomores there. Sean Pokerock on with nobody out. Eric Hyatt is the hitter. It's a bunt, well placed down the first base line. Hyatt was going to stop and let the first baseman tag him, but instead George Seaman just ran to the bag and took the out there. It is a runner in scoring position after the sacrifice bunt. And Gavin Collins, the third baseman, who is 2 for 2, steps in. I mean, how about the stat line for some of these Hornets today? Ben Jones is 2 for 4 with a double and 2 RBI. Sean Pokerock is 3 for 4. Gavin Collins is 2 for 2 with a walk. Holden Fiedler is 2 for 3. It's just a lineup that there are no soft spots. There are no easy outs. Yeah, some guys go cold from time to time, but other guys get hot. It's just been that kind of a season for Lynchburg. Somebody cools off, has a little dry spell for 3 or 4 or 5 games, whatever the case may be. Other guys pick up the slack, and they just find ways to win these games. Whether it's the death by 1,000 cuts, whether it's a big home run from, say, an Avery Neves, or perhaps this man, Gavin Collins, whether it's working double-digit walks. Lynchburg's had multiple times this season where they've taken over 10 walks in a game. They find ways to beat you. They win low-scoring games. Gavin Collins will lift this one into the Midwestern night sky. The second baseman, Mac Bourne, is there to pull it in for the second out of the inning. So Gavin Collins has actually been retired for the first time today. He did get picked off, but that's not really, you don't really count that when you're talking about a guy being retired. You don't count it making an out on the bases usually. Gavin Collins is now 2 for 3 with a walk. Jackson Harding singled in his first at bat. That was in the 2-run second inning for Lynchburg. 0 in the first, 2 in the second, zeros in 3, 4, and 5, and then 5 in the last inning. That was the bottom of the 6th. We're now in the bottom of the 7th. That ball hit the glove of the catcher and popped out. Pokerock's going to try to advance. Head first slide, and he does beat it. Got the left hand on the third base bag as the glove from Jack Ulver was coming into the tagging zone there. Sean Pokerock got around it. That one's probably going to be a pass ball in the books on the catcher, Tim Erlob. That ball hit his mitt. 1-0 count for Jackson Harding. 2 outs. So the sac fly not in play as Harding looks at a steep breaking ball for strike 1. Holden Fiedler waiting on deck. And Lynchburg now has multiple options getting loose in their bullpen. We've seen Jack Batchmore warm up already. That one was behind Jackson Harding. Pokerock will come in on a feet-first slide. Throw was late, and it's the 8th run of the game for Lynchburg. The advantage is up to 6 now for the Hornets. That one was behind Jackson Harding. And it was one that was so far behind, he didn't even need to take evasive action or move out of the way to avoid getting hit. He just stood there. Catcher had no chance. Unfortunately for Tim Erlob, I like what he has done as the backstop today, but that was not his fault. He did have a pass ball that let Pokerock get to third, but that one, a true wild pitch right there. 2-2 count. Here it comes from Schmidt. Harding, check swing. He held it. No appeal. And it will be a full count now. Lynchburg looking for win number 44 on the season. And the winner of this game does advance to meet East Texas Baptist University. They were a 7-3 winner over Salisbury. Their starting pitcher, who I'm going to remember the name of in just a second, Jackson Harding, flares one to the shortstop. Two-handed grab just on the outfield grass will end the inning. But Lynchburg does get one across. Sean Pokerock singles. They bunt him to second, gets to third on the pass ball, and then scores on the wild pitch. And Lynchburg has padded the lead. 8-2, they're on top as we move to the top of the 8th inning here in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, at the Division III Baseball Championship. Jack Batchmore is on for the Lynchburg Hornets. They lead 8-2. He comes on in relief of Zach Potts. We'll try to figure out the official line here from Zach Potts in just a moment. But he pitched outstanding. Getting into the 7th inning. We're getting through 7 complete, rather. Zach Potts handing the ball off to this guy, Jack Batchmore. They have done this so many times this season. Batchmore entering the ball game with a 1.57 earned run average. He is 8-1 on the season with 13 saves. This is not a save situation right now in a 6-run ball game. It's a fastball that misses inside. It's a 3-0 count to start Jack Ulver. So you can make the argument both ways if you're a baseball fan and you've been plugged into this game. You can make the argument of leaving Zach Potts, and you can make the argument of making this move. You could probably make several other arguments for some other options as well. It is ball 4, and Jack Ulver gets the 4-pitch walk. Jack Batchmore now facing Mac Bourne, and I think this guy right here, Mac Bourne, is a big reason why Lynchburg made the change. He's 3 for 3 with a double in his last at bat, so he obviously had a pretty good look at Zach Potts. There's a lot to be said for changing it up. Give him a different arm to look at. Not to say that he's going to now be automatically easy to retire. Mac Bourne is obviously a good player. He's hitting .417 on the season. Those 3 hits now give him 71 on the year. Mac Bourne has been swinging it against every pitcher he has seen, but I think there is a strong argument to be made in giving him something different to look at. In this case, it's the left-handed Jack Batchmore. Holden Fiedler's going to go out and have a chat with Jack. It is 6 straight balls, in fact, for Jack Batchmore to begin his work here in the 2023 Division III Baseball Championships. For Jack Batchmore, another guy, control never in question. He struck out 92 this season and only walked 26. But anytime you get 6 in a row that have missed the zone, probably not a bad idea to go take a visit. And Holden Fiedler has done just that. And now we're going to be set for baseball again here in just a moment. So let's get back to what happens if Lynchburg holds on. The game will be scheduled for 7:45 tomorrow against East Texas Baptist University. They won 7-3 over Salisbury. Loser of this one has to play Salisbury at 4:30. And if you lose that one, you're done. The winner of that will take on the loser of game Game 8, and this is always tough to talk about just verbally. So the best thing to do is go to the website and check out the bracket, and it'll make more sense then. I'm not saying it'll make complete sense then, but it'll make more sense then. And we do have 2 brackets. Bracket 1 is Johns Hopkins, Misericordia, Endicott, Baldwin, Wallace. And then the second bracket, the lower bracket, is obviously these 2 teams, Lynchburg and Wisconsin-La Crosse, and also the teams I was just talking about, Salisbury and East Texas Baptist. And the winners of the 2 brackets then meet in a best 2 out of 3 championship series that is set to begin on Wednesday, June 7th. So, if you're not completely confused now, just keep listening, and we'll try to make it even difficult or more difficult for you. There's a full count single knocked up the middle by Mac Bourne. So Mac Bourne is 4 for 4. I mean, have a night, Mac Bourne. That is a night you dream of. In the first game of the national championship tournament, you get 4 hits, and Mac Bourne shows no signs of slowing down. It's 2 runners on here in the top of the 8th inning. Lynchburg does lead 8-2. But as I so often point out, baseball games are never fully comfortable for a coach until it's all said and done. All the coaching staff still on edge. They're still treating this like a tie ball game. And I think Lynchburg players are very good at that as well. They do not seem to lose focus very often. They're human. They lose focus occasionally, but not very often. Lynchburg, one of those elite teams that they just don't seem to make too many mental errors. But obviously this Wisconsin-La Crosse team will have something to say here in their last 2 cracks at it. They are down to 6 final outs here, the Eagles. But there's 2 on right now. Runners on first and second with nobody out. Batchmore throws a strike. Now the count is 2-1. The hitter is Anthony Vivian. He's 0 for 2. Did get hit by a pitch in his last plate appearance. And out here would be huge for Lynchburg. 2 outs, a double play, would be massive. There's a line drive through the left side of the infield. Runner will hold at third. Avery Neves fields, gets it in to the relay man, who in this case was the third baseman, Gavin Collins. So it's back-to-back singles for Wisconsin-La Crosse. Those total up to hits 7 and 8 so far this ball game. Ty Hamilton batting. He is 0 for 3. The bases are loaded. Lynchburg would have a force at any bag, including home plate. Jack Batchmore, the left-handed pitcher, set and ready to work here to the new hitter. Breaking ball, 12-6 over the top, missed the zone, must have been high, and now the count is 1 ball and no strikes. Ty Hamilton is the designated hitter, swinging it at a 363 clip coming into the tournament. Low target for Fiedler. There's another breaking ball that also missed for Jack Batchmore. 2-0 count. Batchmore's another guy that is not easily rattled, much like Zach Potts when I was talking about him pitching with the bases loaded in that 2-run 6th inning. It'll take a little bit more than this to rattle Jack Batchmore. That ball's driven into center field. Atkins and Neves are there together. Neves ends up making the grab. He'll spin and throw it into third. So it does go down as a sac fly for Ty Hamilton. 1 run scores. Runner at second is forced to hold because Neves threw into third. So smart baseball there by Avery Neves. And now it's runners at first and second with 1 out for the first baseman, George Seaman. You know, Vivian's got 19 home runs, but George Seaman's not far behind. The sophomore has hit 14 over the wall this season. He's got 12 doubles to go with it. Serious power for this left-handed swinger, George Seaman. Probably like the left-on-left matchup if you're a Lynchburg fan, especially when that lefty is Jack Batchmore. Just one of the nation's best this season. That's all the Jack has been. First-team All-American. And he might have more accolades coming to him before it's all said and done. 0-1 count on George Seaman. First baseman Eric Hyatt playing behind the runner there. Seaman kind of flares at that one, but it will get out of play. Probably not his A swing. I think Batchmore fooled him with something off speed. The count is no balls and 2 strikes. We're in the top of the 8th inning. Lynchburg leads 8-3. The big explosion was in the bottom of the 6th inning. And here's another one. If you're joining us late, seriously, hats off to you. It is 1:50 East Coast time. Hyatt dives. He'll kind of lay on the ball and then rush over to first base to step on the bag for 1 out. Nice job by Eric Hyatt on a ball that was hit pretty sharply by Seaman to get down low, sort of smother it. It never popped out of his glove. I think it's just kind of his body went to the ground as well. And then he got up and stepped on the bag for the 2nd out of the inning. Yeah, it's 12:50 Central Time. So it's 1:50 on the East Coast. And who knows? We know we have people that watch and listen around the globe. So we're glad to have you wherever you are at. There's the big breaking ball from Jack Batchmore for strike one. 0-1 count on the catcher, Tim Erlob. One of the Minnesota guys on this Wisconsin-La Crosse roster. One of 2 in the starting lineup from Minnesota, the land of 10,000 lakes, just north of us here in Iowa. If we get a day off, maybe Tim LeDuc and myself will take a side trip up to Minnesota, see some sights up there. 1-1 count with 2 outs. There's one that Fiedler did a nice job stopping. Pitchers have been really sharp today. Holden Fiedler really hasn't had to make too many of those classic textbook catcher blocks or sliding left to right to knock one down. So hats off to Zach Potts first and Jack Batchmore here. 2-1 pitch coming up from Jack Batchmore. That one missed the zone low as well. Now the count is 3 balls and 1 strike. 2 outs. Just a real quick side note, Tim. Southern Minnesota is going to remind you a lot of Iowa, but then once you get past Minneapolis and St. Paul, the Twin Cities, you really do start seeing those lakes and ponds. Ground ball left side. Gavin Collins will tag out the runner, trying to advance from 2nd to 3rd. Pretty heads-up play there from Gavin Collins. I know he would have backed himself to throw across the diamond and just get the out at first base, but smart to avoid the throw there and just put the tag on the runner for the 3rd out of the inning. So one does come across for Wisconsin-La Crosse, but Lynchburg holding on to the 8-3 advantage heading to the bottom of the 8th inning. Lynchburg's offense has banged out 12 hits. 11 of them are singles. Ben Jones had the big double in the right center gap using his power. That was a ball in that right center gap that's gone in a lot of parks. I'm not sure it's gone at Fox Field, though. We know how spacious Lynchburg's home ground is. Not easy to get a ball out of Fox Field. But back to Ben Jones. He is 2 for 4, and that 2 RBI double was the exclamation point on a 5-run 6th inning. Lynchburg did add 1 in the 7th. It is an 8-3 ball game right now. Wisconsin-La Crosse got their runs, 2 in the top of the 6th and 1 more there in the top of the 8th. They did leave 1 stranded in scoring position. Holden Fiedler is the batter for Lynchburg, 2 for 3. And he had a soft single in that 5-run inning that kept it going. The pitcher at the time was Isaiah Kotz. He came off the mound, tried to pick it up quickly and spin to first and throw, and the ball just kind of squirted out. He did not have the grip, and it actually came out behind him and rolled into foul territory. He scrambled to pick it up, Fiedler was safe at first. A run scored, and Jackson Harding actually went first to third on the play, slid in safely at third base. So some aggressive base running featuring in Lynchburg's big inning there as well. Lynchburg's so good on the bases. And it's weird when you look at that as Fiedler looks at a breaking ball in the dirt for ball 2. Lynchburg's stolen base numbers of the teams in this championship tournament, the other 7 teams, I think all have more stolen bases. They don't necessarily have a higher percentage of stolen bases. Lynchburg is 68 for 86 this year. That's just under 80%, which is very good. But Lynchburg's base running actually shines in other situations, like Jackson Harding going first to third on that weird play in the infield. Like those balls in the dirt where Brandon Garcia will read it low out of the pitcher's hand and take off and outrace the catcher's throw to second base. Lynchburg is so good on the bases. And it does not show up in the box score in those traditional ways, but it is very much a key to their success and something that they work on. They work on base running quite a bit and not just stealing bases, although, of course, Lynchburg does work on that as well. Full count to Holden Fiedler. 8-hole hitter is leading off the 8th inning for Lynchburg. He'll swing on this. It's floated into right field. Not going to be an easy play, and the play will not be made. Drops in between the second baseman and the right fielder, who was actually positioned fairly deep. And there's another one for Holden Fiedler that will throw in the soft single category. But at this point in the season, you don't care. They all look like line drives in the scorebook now, and it's actually Lynchburg's 13th hit in that scorebook. So the offense coming alive against good pitching. Lynchburg's offensive numbers as a whole didn't wow a lot of people when you compared them to the rest of the teams in the tournament. Yeah, take this Wisconsin-La Crosse team. They've got more extra base hits. They're hitting at a higher average. They're hitting .337 as a team. Lynchburg is only .297 as a team. But here's one area where Lynchburg's better, a better on-base percentage. So back to taking walks and getting hit by pitches. Lynchburg's so resourceful. Carson Atkins showing the bunt. They do that as well. They bunt successfully. Eric Hyatt had a successful sacrifice bunt in the last inning to move Sean Pokerock up 90 feet. Pokerock ends up scoring. Lynchburg does all the little things, and they add up to a lot of wins. 43-7 so far this season. Atkins will show the bunt again and take that for a strike. It's now a 2-1 count. Atkins will use that classic, I call it a two-way concept with the bunt, to where it's a sacrifice bunt, trying to move the runner up. But if you place it perfectly with his speed, a lot of times it can end up being a base hit. He'll show the bunt early again. Does get this one pretty nicely. Stays in the home plate dirt. The catcher's throw was a little low, but the second baseman, Mac Bourne, was able to dig it out there. So it is a successful sacrifice bunt for Carson Atkins. Really deadened it nicely just inside the home plate dirt circle. Leadoff man Brandon Garcia hits now. He's 2 for 4. Struck out in his first at bat, flew out to center. Back-to-back singles have Brandon Garcia firing on all cylinders again, right where he wants to be. This is his 17th multi-hit game of the season. And for Brandon Garcia now, it looks like 17 hits total in the postseason. His postseason average will be going up. Just back of the envelope math has it right around 340 right now. Let me just actually do the math as Brandon Garcia does take strike one. It's an 0-1 count with Holden Fiedler bouncing off at second base. Lynchburg leads 8-3. We're in the bottom of the 8th inning. Garcia takes a second strike. Good breaking ball there. Wisconsin-La Crosse starter Isaiah Kotz. I thought he wasn't throwing many breaking balls. The bullpen guys have. It's been a bit of a change there. 0-2 count on the freshman shortstop for Lynchburg. Here's the pitch. Garcia grounds this one to the shortstop. Fiedler will advance to third base. High throw. Did the first baseman stay on? Yes, he did. Good job by George Seaman to keep the right foot anchored to the bag there and retire Brandon Garcia. So that postseason average might have just dropped back down a bit for Brandon Garcia. It looks like, for reference, Lynchburg fans, that Brandon Garcia now hitting .333 in postseason baseball. This is the 13th postseason game that Lynchburg has played. That dates all the way back to that ODAC opening weekend series with Bridgewater. Here's Ben Jones. Benny Bombs had the big explosion in the last, or not the last inning, but his last plate appearance. He doubled in the right center gap that drove in two. Classic Ben Jones stuff. 0-1 count on Ben Jones. Hits with Holden Fiedler at third base. Ground ball, right side. First baseman got over. Fields it, and he'll step on the bag. So the 8th inning is done. Lynchburg needs to get 3 more outs to secure win number 1 in the 2023 Division III Baseball Championship. Don't miss the conclusion. It's coming up next on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network. Vibes are still very high in the Lynchburg dugout despite the long day. Well, this is what you play for right here. An after midnight finish and possibly win number 1 to open up the 2023 D3 Baseball Championships here in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Looks like a pinch hitter for Wisconsin-La Crosse. It'll be another sophomore, number 16, Logan Pye. He's facing Jack Batchmore. Batchmore's dealing with 8-9-1. Although I mentioned Pye did not start in this spot. That was the center fielder, Chris Vandenheuvel, who struck out 3 times. So, part of the reason for the move there from La Crosse head coach Chris Schwartz. New man is Logan Pye. He's facing Jack Batchmore, who will step off the mound for a moment. Not sure what the issue was, but we'll be ready for baseball here in just a second. Lynchburg holds on to a 5-run lead, 8-3 advantage. If they do complete the victory, they'll face, long day for the broadcasters, of course. If Lynchburg can hold on, they will face East Texas Baptist University, who's a 7-3 winner over Salisbury. If the scoreline stands, that means this ball club, Wisconsin-La Crosse, will be playing Salisbury in the 4:30 game. Lynchburg will have the feature game again, the nightcap, the headliners, the Hornets, the Hornet headliners. Watch out. This ball's belted into left field. Long run for Avery Neves. Is he going to get there? No. Ball bounces off the wall. It'll be a leadoff stand-up double for the pinch hitter, Logan Pye. So there's a bit of good news for the Eagles, who have clearly not given up the fight. That is their second extra base hit of the ball game. Hit number 9 total. Not going to make Jack Batchmore a happy camper, but again, so hard to rattle him. I don't think he's going to do anything outside of his norm, which has been outstanding all season. Jack Batchmore, one of the best in the country statistically, and even beyond the statistics. We just know he's been one of the best. He's been lights out. There's a good hard fastball in for a strike. And it's an 0-1 count. Nobody out. If you're Lynchburg, you'll trade that run at second for an out. You just need 3 more at this point, and you are advancing to the next round where you want to be. There's a big breaking curveball from Jack Batchmore. That is ball 1. 1-1 count. The hitter is Jack Moran. He's the Chicago, Illinois guy in the lineup for Wisconsin-La Crosse. Looks like the official line for Zach Potts. And if I'm talking, it's actually unofficial. But by my records, for Zach Potts, it'll be 1 earned run surrendered in 7 innings of work. Batchmore came on to begin the 8th inning. So 7 strong for Mr. Potts. He gave up 6 hits. He did walk 1 and hit 1. He struck out 7. So classic Zach Potts stuff. He didn't throw the no-hitter. He didn't pitch the complete game. And he wants those things, of course. He's a high-level baseball player. Zach Potts wants to be at his best. But his A-minus game is so strong. It's so strong, and he's undefeated on the season. I think if you ask Zach Potts, he'd probably say, yeah, I've really only had the A-plus stuff a couple times this year. But Zach Potts is that good. His A-minus wins you ball game. He is a proven game winner. While that little aside about Zach Potts was going on, Jack Moran drew his second walk of the game. So there's runners on first and second for Jack Batchmore. Strike one there. And I just looked back. It looked like Zach Potts did walk two and hit one. But again, still outstanding. Got his team right where they needed to be. There's nobody out in the top of the ninth inning. La Crosse gathering some momentum. Here's a ball belted. Deep left field. Does it stay in? It hit the foul pole and it's gone. It is a fair ball and a 3-run home run. And guess what? We have absolutely got ourselves a game again. Leadoff double for the pinch hitter, Logan Pye. Jack Moran walks, and then a 3-run jack from Jordan Williams. We had seen some home runs in the previous 3 games. The ball is flying a bit here in Cedar Rapids. And that is absolutely a game changer. Lynchburg still leads, and it's still somewhat comfortable at 2 runs. 8-6, the Lynchburg advantage right now. 3-run home run for Jordan Williams. Sophomore has parked one. It hit the foul pole, which is a misleading name because if it hits that pole, it's fair. Those poles, which are usually bright yellow at every ballpark, are lined up with the foul line, which, again, the fact that you call it a foul line is somewhat misleading because if it hits the chalk, it's a fair ball. Jack Over is the third baseman, another sophomore. He has faced Jack Batchmore once. This is the first hitter that Batch faced back in the 8th inning. He walked against Jack Batchmore. He's walked twice in the game. Ground ball right side. Ben Jones is there. This is a much-needed out for Lynchburg. It is the first of the 9th inning. So it was feeling somewhat comfortable for Lynchburg after 5 runs in the 6th and then added an insurance in the 7th. The Eagles from La Crosse, Wisconsin, answer with a run in the top of the 8th, and then the 3-run homer there. Mound visit coming up from associate head coach Travis Beasley. This is probably to review the game plan. I think Batchmore's staying in. You never know. Mac Bourne is 4 for 4, though. That's why I feel like this is a game plan type of conversation right here. But you could make a strong argument for giving Mac Bourne a different look, as he is 1 for 1 off Jack Batchmore. 4 for 4 in the game so far for Mac Bourne, a sophomore from Chaska, Minnesota. Remember that name. He now has 72 hits on the season. Lynchburg is making a move. Jack Batchmore is going to do something pretty rare. He's going to hand the ball off to end the game. I'll tell you something I like right here. The first man that's going to greet him at the foul line is Zach Potts. Those two guys have been through so much together. Jack Batchmore wants to finish the game. But a strategic move here by the Lynchburg Hornets to get Mason McDowell in. Mason McDowell has been outstanding the second half of the season. Here's another guy that's just a freshman for Lynchburg. So much experience, but so much young talent as well. Mason McDowell is on. He is 1-0 on the season, and that one victory came in the 3-1 win against Shenandoah, the super regional game that clinched Lynchburg's spot in this D3 baseball championship. Numbers for Mason McDowell, outstanding. This will be appearance number 16. He is just 1-0. There are no saves. He struck out 21 and walked 9. He surrendered 10 hits this season. Batters hitting just 169 off the guy that I've been calling Maximum Mason, because it is hard coming at you. He really thumps that catcher's mitt with his lively fastball, and the breaking stuff is solid as well. I think another thing that I like here from Lynchburg is you get McDowell in there with the bases clear. Yeah, there's only 1 out in the 9th, but he does not have to enter with runners on. So a little bit easier to get comfortable. And Batchmore had thrown an amount of pitches that can also make you sometimes say, all right, if we know we're going to have to use Jack Batchmore later in this tournament, maybe it's time for him to hand the ball off. Good teams can do that. I mentioned Jack Batchmore wants to finish games. He has been so great at finishing games this season. But there's a time and a place for everything. I think it's a really good move here to get Mason McDowell in to face Mac Bourne, who nobody else has gotten out. He's 4 for 4. 3 hits off Zach Potts, 1 off Jack Batchmore. Let's see what Maximum Mason can do. There's a breaking ball in for a strike. Nice one there. Great start for the freshman. I don't think he's been bothered by any of the moments this season. I don't see why this would be any different. There's a slider that just missed the plate. Nice and sharp there. Good take by Mac Bourne. Mason McDowell, another one of those guys, when you see him at the ballpark or going to and from games, hotel, whatever it is, seems to always have the smile on his face, laughing, having a good time. Freshman from Fishersville, Virginia. Came at Mac Bourne with the hard heater there. Bourne took that for a strike. 1-2 count with 1 out. Lynchburg's lead has been trimmed to 2. It's an 8-6 ball game here in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Bourne got a piece of that. Fiedler's going to give chase. It went right behind him. Had to kind of go through the umpire, which no fault of the umpire. The ump off the bat doesn't know where that ball is going. He also doesn't know which route the catcher is going to take. So umpires will try to get out of the way. And it's an interesting deal because sometimes it would actually be better if the umpire just stayed put and was like a statue, and it might be easier to get around. But it is just a foul ball. 1-2 count. McDowell, right-hander, is set just below the chin. Now kicks the leg, fires. There's another foul ball. This one was sprayed a long way into the parking lot here at Veterans Memorial Stadium. Anthony Vivian is on deck. He's that guy that comes into the contest with 19 home runs. Wisconsin-La Crosse would probably feel good about their chances having him up with a runner on. Let's see if McDowell goes slider or heater here. Fastball, just missed the edge. That was awfully close. Awfully close for ball 2. And it's a 2-2 count now with 1 out in the top of the 9th. Lynchburg holding on to a 2-run advantage. Infield is regular depth. Outfield's a little bit deeper than average. There's the pitch. Another foul ball. Good at bat developing here from Mac Bourne. He's staying alive. He's doing what good hitters do. He's doing what Jackson Harding did in his big at bat in the 2nd inning. Remember, Lynchburg got 2 really key runs in the bottom of the 2nd. They had a 2-0 lead all the way up to the top of the 6th. Game got tied. Lynchburg exploded for 5 in the bottom of the 6th. McDowell hit him. That was a fastball. It just kind of ran in. Bourne was kind of giving it to check swing, but he had to wear it, I think, on either the right or the left elbow. Second hit batter of the game for Wisconsin-La Crosse. This man, Anthony Vivian, was hit 1 time. And remember, Lynchburg is the home team. So if something happens here, something being the Eagles from La Crosse take a lead, tie the ball game, Lynchburg would get a chance to answer in the bottom of the 9th. And there's a pitch from Mason McDowell, who prefers not to think about that. Let's just close the game out here. 0-1's the count after a fastball for a strike on the inside part of the plate. Left fielder Anthony Vivian is 1 for 3. He has been hit 1 time. He struck out 1 time. Here's the pitch from McDowell. Swing and a miss. Vivian came up empty on another nice knee-high heater from Mason McDowell. Count is 0-2. Holden Fiedler, 5th-year backstop, delivering the signals. Infield, not quite double play depth, a little bit deeper. Pitch from McDowell, and he got him swinging. Big punch out there, and now we've got 2 down. Ty Hamilton, the designated hitter, represents the last chance to dance here for Wisconsin-La Crosse. La Crosse is going to make a pinch runner substitution. Some more wheels out there at first base. Mac Bourne, the second baseman, will come out. And it looks like Roberts is in. Eli Roberts, number 11, is in for Wisconsin-La Crosse. Ty Hamilton, left-handed hitter, facing the freshman Mason McDowell. One more to get for McDowell. He hit first batter he faced and just struck out Anthony Vivian. There's an off-speed pitch that was in the dirt for ball one. Defensive alignment getting changed slightly by the Lynchburg coaching staff. Outfield is shaded the opposite way on the lefty Ty Hamilton. Infield's pretty much straight up. Here's the pitch from McDowell. Fastball, just missed the outer half. 2-0 count on Ty Hamilton. He represents the tying run for Wisconsin-La Crosse. And if you're Lynchburg, that's a key to think about as well. Keep him out of scoring position. The runner that's on first right now is not completely insignificant, but does not bear nearly the same importance as the batter right now, Ty Hamilton. He does take strike one. 2-1 count with 2 outs. Mason McDowell set, ready to fire. Here's the pitch. Ground ball, right side. Ben Jones, diving grab. He'll make an easy toss to first base, and that's the ball game. Lynchburg gets win number 1 in the Division III baseball championships here at Cedar Rapids. The freshman, Mason McDowell, on to help close it out. He got some nice defensive work from the fellow first-year man, Ben Jones, sliding to his glove side and making a fancy play for the final out of the ball game. Ben Jones had the explosive double in that 5-run 6th inning for Lynchburg. The Hornets might not have been pretty at the end, but Lynchburg holds on for what is a really good victory against a solid club, Wisconsin-La Crosse. They're going to fall to 36-12 on the season, but boy, they are dangerous. They go to the losers bracket in bracket 2, and they'll have to face Salisbury tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. That will be a fascinating game to watch. Meanwhile, for Lynchburg, they advance. They're going to play in the feature game again tomorrow. The nightcap is scheduled for 7:45. Lynchburg will be taking on East Texas Baptist University. So many storylines in this one for the Lynchburg Hornets. Sean Pokerock, 3 for 4. We already mentioned Ben Jones with the 2-run double. He had a single in there as well. Holden Fiedler was 3 for 4. Gavin Collins was 2 for 3. Just go up and down this lineup. Jackson Harding with that outstanding at bat in the 2nd inning where he fouled off 6 straight pitches and then sliced an RBI single through the infield. It was that kind of game for Lynchburg. They got 7 strong innings from Zach Potts. He will remain undefeated on the season. How about that, fans? Zach Potts moves to 12-0 on the year. Still undefeated for Zach Potts. Jack Batchmore, maybe not exactly what he wanted. He has to hand the ball off to finish the game, but Jack did some good things, and you know that he is going to come back wanting more tomorrow. The rubber-armed Jack Batchmore, always ready for more. So it is the conclusion of a very late night. We could stay up longer recapping it, but let's finish it there knowing that we've got so much more exciting baseball to look forward to. Lynchburg wins this one 8-6 over the Eagles of Wisconsin-La Crosse. Lynchburg moves to 44-7 on the season, and they are scheduled to play East Texas Baptist University in Game 8 of the tournament tomorrow. It'll be their second game apiece. They were both winners today, scheduled for 7:45. But as we found out tonight, anything can happen out here with weather and long games and all that. So stay plugged in to the social media destinations for Lynchburg. Check the website, lynchburgsports.com, and also the NCAA D3 National Championship website as well. Kyle Haney saying so long. Sleep well, Lynchburg fans. Thank you so much for staying up with us. Everybody that did the video and audio thing, that is so cool. Glad you could make that work. Let's try it again tomorrow, shall we? So long until then. Have a great night, everybody. Lynchburg wins it 8-6. They take down Wisconsin-La Crosse to begin the 2023 Division III Baseball Championships from Cedar Rapids, Iowa.